Oh, there we go. I wonder what happened then. I was trying to add us to the stream and it wasn't working. I was thinking, what am I doing wrong?
Here we are.
How are you, Matt?
Good, mate. Very good.
What
nice crisp morning over here in Australia.
When you say crisp, do you mean cold?
I do. It's a nice crisp morning, which means it's probably going to be a lovely warm day.
Now, because you're ahead of us, does that mean the clocks have gone back already?
No, not yet. I don't think our clocks go back until for another week at least.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it happens at the end of the month. So it's a bit different to yours, I think.
Right. Okay. Well, that's. I'm not even going to try and fathom that right now. Okay. Well, we're live, and Matt and I are going to be talking about one of our favorite sort of collective universe of TV shows, I suppose, and that is the universe of Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Taylor Sheridan's show, one of many of his shows. I'm also watching The Mayor of Kingston, which I'm thoroughly enjoying.
Is The Mayor of Kingston a Taylor Sheridan show?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. I mean, how does this man get all this? Where does he get all this time? He must have a time machine.
The fact that he also lives in Texas and runs horses, breeds horses and cattle and supplies all those horses for the TV show. How does this guy have time to live? It's hard enough just to write a script, let alone write several seasons.
And Yellowstone and 1883 and 1923 predominantly shoot in Montana, I believe.
Yes.
Although 1923 also shot in Malta and Africa. So,
really?
Yeah, because I'd know the ramparts of the Fortress of Malta anywhere in a movie because they've been used.
Are they doubling Africa for America?
No, they're doubling Africa for Africa.
Okay.
So that's yeah. Well, I mean, we'll get onto that in a little bit, but I mean, they really went all out with they did a Game of Thrones. They're filming in with I think they filmed with several different units as well, I believe. Sorry, I'm just dropping the stream link into if somebody just asked me for it. Let me just pop that in there. There we go. Okay, boom, in we go. Yeah, all right. Well,
let's talk Yellowstone.
Yeah, I think we should do these in order. Like the meat of it will be on Yellowstone, but prequel 1923, and then Yellowstone, which is sort of set in the modern day. How does that sound to you?
Yeah, that suits me.
All right, wicked. So let's talk about 1883 first. Oh, hang on, I'm going to have to mute the making of there before. If you on the IMDb link, in addition to the trailer for the show, there's which I think you've just started watching.
Yes, I've just started watching 1883. I just got through the pilot this week. So,
so many adverts, things all over the place. But anyway, yeah, I mean, there he is, the man with the sexiest voice in the world. But I really like that poster, by the way.
Yeah, it's very cool.
And the poster on the front of the DVD is kind of more sort of, it's got more of a kind of Tombstone vibe.
Yeah.
But I wish they'd had this poster on the cover of this. And yeah, it's the same one on the box. So I don't think there's it's not a reversible, is it? There's not a.
No, mine's not.
Yeah. So you've just seen the pilot.
I've just seen the pilot.
I've seen the whole show. Okay, so gut reaction to the pilot what would you give the pilot out of 10?
Look, to be honest, I'd probably only give the pilot about a 6 or a 7 out of 10.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it hasn't. I think it's good, but it hasn't really gripped me, maybe as much as I thought it was going to, considering its genre. And
there's a lot of setup in episode 1.
But that's sort of why I'm forgiving it and going, hey, it's a pilot. I get it. You've got to lay the groundwork first. I'm sure it's going to get more interesting. It's beautifully produced. And the acting's really good. Sam Elliott is just always watchable.
We'll get on to the actors in a minute, but let's
that was my immediate gut reaction. But I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of it, for sure. Definitely. So yeah, I'll definitely be jumping back in, and I'm sure it'll hook me in just as much as the rest of Yellowstone has. But yeah, I think I was probably maybe my expectations were just a little bit high, and of course, yeah. But we'll see.
Well, do you remember when I sort of called you? I'd just seen the first couple of episodes.
Yeah.
And it was late at night for me, but it was early morning for you. I rang you and I was like, Matt, this is the Western TV show we've always been waiting for. And that was when I'd just seen the scene with Billy Bob Thornton in, which you haven't got to yet, right?
No, I'm looking forward to it because I caught a glimpse of it on our conversation that day.
Right. Yeah. Because I was kind of played you the audio of it. I mean, as soon as I got to the end of episode 2, then I thought, yeah, this film is a different, or this series is a very gritty, realistic depiction of this is what it would have been like. That's what I like about it.
Yeah,
for me.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what makes it strong. And a lot of people die in it. Don't get attached to too many characters.
Good. So it's Game of Thronesy, is it?
Yeah, well, a little bit like that. And you know, another thing I like about it is, although there are some more kind of two-dimensional bad guys that pop up here and there, you've got that great writing where you might like a character one episode and you're kind of frustrated with them the next.
Yeah, as all good series should have.
Yeah, no one's ever all good. No one's ever all bad. The father, we'll get on to the actors in a minute, but you know, he doesn't always make the right decisions, even though he's trying to be a good dad and look after his daughter. The daughter's a bit annoying at first, but she kind of grows on you as the show goes on, and of course, it's her narrating the show. This is the prequel. This is the story of how the Duttons come to own the land that eventually becomes theirs, that we see in the present day in the current show of
I figured that.
Yeah,
I found the actor who plays the young girl a bit. She sort of looks like a Jennifer Lawrence clone.
Yeah, I mean that's a good. I mean, she'd probably hate that, but that's a good description. I mean, unlike Jennifer Lawrence, she probably didn't invent the female lead, but we'll get on to the actors in a minute. But one of the things that I think the show really has going for it, and I'd say that for all 3 shows, is they look very cinematic.
Absolutely. It's great to see such cinematic TV nowadays. We're living in a bit of a golden era of television where our TV looks like our movies, which is amazing. And why not? And it really didn't start. That trend did not start until Band of Brothers.
That's right. Yeah.
When HBO poured all that money into making that 10-part miniseries that looks like Saving Private Ryan. We've never seen TV at that level before. So it's great that it's great that everyone's jumped on that bandwagon. And I mean, how many good series have we had since that honestly look like something you could go to the movies and watch? However, what I think the downside to that is that it has made the spectacular and the glorious looking a little bit commonplace. We expect it from everything. And I think that's probably why television and movie making it's so expensive to produce now, because we expect it to look like this, because that's what we're being given now. And anything that doesn't meet that standard, we kind of go, ooh, yeah.
Thanks to the 6 people that are tuning in and watching right now. As Copa-Catania said, do hit the like button. Great to have you on the stream.
Yes, welcome. I hope you enjoy what we have to say and maybe learn a few things. Yeah,
do share and post about it. Matt, of course, has directed a Western, and we'll talk about that as we kind of get through. I remember when you were making a cowboy hat that was not too dissimilar to this one, and you did a video about it. I mean, just looking at this picture alone, again, before we get onto cast, the production design and the detail of the production design on all three of these shows, but particularly this one in 1923, is phenomenal. I mean, just look at all the stuff in the background of that shot.
Yeah.
On the wagon.
It's very, very good. One thing I did notice is the costumes in 1883 have a lot of authenticity to them. The textures, the fibers.
Yeah, they look lived in.
Yes, which is where so many modern westerns fall down, and where a lot of amateur or very low budget westerns fall down is the actors walk out with collars that look like modern cut collars, and they're clean as a whistle. Off the shelf, whereas this looks like they've lived in them for days. There's sweat in the collars, it's great when they get the details right, because it cements you into that world.
I mean, you can even see in the background here, see this tub. I'm not sure what it is.
Looks like
a brand of the time, right?
Yeah, that's right. No, they've certainly have gone all out with their detail, which is fantastic. And why don't we talk about the cast?
Yeah, okay. Well, I've got another banner for that, so let me pop it up. You've only seen the first episode. I've seen, I think there's 8. Is there 8 or 10?
8.
No, there's 8. Is it 8?
I think it's 8. I haven't got my DVD.
I think there's 10.
Okay.
I know most of the shows are 8 episodes per season. But I feel like this had 10, but I might be wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh no, you might be right, Matt. I think maybe it had it. No, you might be right. Oh, hang on. 4, 8. No, 10. 10.
Okay.
It's got 10 episodes.
Cool.
Actually, because I remember when I saw the 8th one, I thought, oh, it's finished now. That's a bit of an odd note to end on. And actually, then there was 2 more, and I was surprised. I think the reason they did 10 was they knew it was a one-off season, and they weren't going to do a second.
This is the weird thing about seasons and series. There seems to be no consistency anymore as to what is a series. Like if it's an ongoing series, what is it now? Is it? I thought it was always 13. I mean, I know Game of Thrones started as 13 episodes a season.
Yeah, it started that way, and then people were arguing over contracts and playing Billy Big Bollocks and wanted to go off and do feature films and whatnot, and it all got a bit silly.
Yeah, and then before you know it, we're down to like 6 a season, or 8 a season, and you're like, oh,
and that's when
a bit weird.
That's when it started falling apart as well.
Yeah,
but no, I mean, I think it was always planned that this was going to be one season. When you watch the whole thing, you can see that it very much has a beginning, middle, and end, and it's pretty harsh. It's pretty harsh. Not want to say too much more about it, but anybody who hasn't watched it should. Okay, so I mean, talking about the cast, then, did you have a favourite character?
Look, I think Sam Elliott for me is the favourite character. I don't think you can I think you can't go past the man for charisma and character. He's just like in everything he does, and of course he feels like that era and that genre because of Tombstone.
Well, he's just a proper cowboy, isn't he?
That's right. He is a proper cowboy. In fact, the people who did the wrangling, the horse wrangling for my film, The Legend of Ben Hall, which is up here in the corner. The people who did the horse wrangling for that know Sam Elliott, and they worked with him in Australia when he came and did Ghost Rider. And my lead wrangler became really good mates with him. And Sam Elliott told him, anytime you come to America, you come and stay at my ranch. And he just said that Sam Elliott is the nicest guy in the world. And that one day he was standing on set holding the horses, and Sam Elliott came up to him and gave him a cup of tea, and was like, 2 sugars and milk, right? And then he was like, yeah, where'd you get this from? And he goes, I made it. And he goes, how did you know how I like it? And he said, I just pay attention.
I listened.
Yeah,
that's a great Sam Elliott story.
Yeah. So yeah, he says he's just the loveliest guy. So
I'm so pleased to hear that, because there's nothing worse than you really admiring an actor or one that you want to work with. And I would give my left arm to work with Sam Elliott. And then you hear from people, oh no, you don't want to work with that person. But I've never heard a bad thing about him. By the way, so that town, which I think appears in episode 2,
yep,
is not your usual standard fare of a set. It's huge.
No, it's big, and also very different. I mean, it's set in Fort Worth, Texas, right?
Yeah, I mean, sort of on the edge of the frontier, and they're about to go out.
And it's interesting because we normally associate Western towns with so much just wooden buildings, but this had brick.
Yeah,
red brick and things like that, which would be accurate, because depending on it's the same here in Australia. Like in various areas, you'll notice that different cities or towns build with different materials depending on where they live. So maybe in Texas there was a bit more, brick and stuff, whereas if you're up in Montana, there's no bricks around, but there's lots of wood, so you build everything out of wood.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. This is a rather nice behind the scenes shot of them lighting the train, which again I think it's in either episode 1 or 2. The family get off the train, and the daughter arrives, and it's quite funny because that's the last time they're in kind of civilized society, is on board that train. And I remember that they're making the transition of her stepping onto the ground, and it's very clever. It's very thematic and follows the kind of sort of things that the show's about.
I did feel that maybe the opening scene, which I won't spoil for anybody, but the opening scene, in a way, kind of, I don't know if it was really the best way to go, like showing us that's where we're heading. I sort of would rather.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you on that.
I sort of like the idea of coming into the world a little bit like them and discovering the horror of the world through their eyes and with them, rather than throwing us into the horror and then pulling us back out, because then we go, okay, I know where you're going.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's a big trend to kind of open with something really dramatic, and then 6 weeks earlier or 3 months earlier or 6 days earlier or 48 hours earlier. And, 10 years ago, that was kind of cool, but like everybody does it now.
No, but there's a very good reason for it. And I have a good theory about why. It is because there's so much content out there and everything is vying for everyone's eyes. And streamers demand that if in the first few minutes of your film, if it hasn't hooked you in and grabbed you and made you go, oh, I gotta, they don't want it. Case in point, I've tried to sell one of my films to streamers, and they've acknowledged how thrilling and exciting the film is, but because there's nothing thrilling and exciting in the first 10 minutes, they've gone, no. People's
attention spans are so short these days,
which is really frustrating, because you now are compromising storytelling to get people's attention. And I think that's, for me, it's like, hey, I'm here. You don't need to. I'm here. I'm willing to watch it. You don't need to do that. You've got
to open on that big gun battle, man.
Yeah, and I think it's lazy storytelling personally, but it's how the streamers think. And it's not a big complaint, but it's a little bit of a.
Well, before we go down the rabbit hole too much on that one. Oh, this is the uninspired reviewer. Would love to stay and watch Lance and Matthew, but work calls. Thanks for that, bud. Well, look, it's on the channel. It's not going anywhere, so you'll be able to watch it later. Appreciate the comment. I thought this actor was particularly good, so I want to give him a shout out. Well, I mean, okay.
Now, who is this guy? I can't recognize him.
I can't remember if he's in the first episode. I
don't recognize him from episode 1.
No, I don't think he is. He's a sort of young cowboy. Him and his best friend. There he is in costume.
Right. Yeah, I haven't seen him yet.
His surname is Nielsen, so obviously he's an amazing guy. Okay, it's spelt slightly differently from mine, but we'll let that go. And he becomes one of the sort of escorts, because the story of 1883, for anyone who hasn't seen it, is there's a wagon train predominantly made up of European settlers, Germans in some cases. Most of them don't speak English. Most of them are of a different religion, and they're trying to get to a specific place. I can't remember the name. That's terrible. But the journey is more important than the destination. And basically, they need a guide. Sam Elliott becomes the guide.
Heading for Wyoming, aren't they?
Yeah, Wyoming. That's right. That's right. I think there's a specific place that they're heading for in Wyoming, but I can't remember the name. And they're going to vie for land when they get there, kind of thing. And Sam Elliott agrees to take them, knowing as well that it's going to be his last trip. He actually expects to die on the trip.
And he also expects they will die.
Well, yeah, and they do die left and right. People are getting killed by snakes. They're drowning. Very few of them get killed by gunfights. I think I see the future Mrs. Nielsen in this photo, so we better move on. Backstage, this character is very interesting. I can't remember. She's in the pilot, I think.
I haven't seen her yet. She may be in the background, but I haven't been introduced to her.
She's one of the people on the wagon train, and her husband, something happens to her husband. I won't say too much, and she kind of hooks up with another character. If we're talking about favorite characters, Sam Elliott's definitely my favorite actor in the show. I don't know that his character is my favorite character, although I love his character, and there he is. But I think my favorite character has to be the Black Cavalry Sergeant.
Oh, yeah. He was good.
He is good. Fantastic character, really interesting. I love this arrow pointing to this person on the left here. I don't know if that's an extra saying, look, that's me. But these two are great.
The father, I don't. I feel like I recognize him, but I can't place him.
Well, there's our cavalry sergeant again. Let's go into the actual credits here and just give some people some shout outs, because there's a lot of people worthy of praise on this show. So the father is Tim McGraw.
Tim McGraw.
Now
that's familiar.
He's
Isn't he a country singer?
Didn't he do that Australian show? The one isn't that the same actor? Or is that a
Tim
different
McGraw's
actor?
a singer.
Yeah, he is a singer. That's right.
Right.
He's a singer.
Yeah, Tim McGraw. He did a song with Def Leppard. That's why I know him.
But I know him from Friday Night Lights, because that's one of my favorite movies.
Right.
I've only seen season 1 of the TV show, but Friday Night Lights, which Alan Graff talked to us about. So he did Friday Night Lights.
So Tim McGraw, because I'm not being American, I don't know American culture the way that Americans do. Tim McGraw seems to be very steeped in country music and so on. So getting someone like him very much captures the target audience of a series like 1883.
So that's also that's very clever casting, because straight away you're appealing to your immediate demographic and saying, hey, not only have we got a show about cowboys, but we're putting one of your favorite cowboys in it.
That's
or
right.
Two, in fact.
It is very smart casting. In fact, I was just talking with Nadia about casting, because I'm thinking about casting for a TV series that I'd like to get made one day, and it's so important to make your to cast and appeal your series to your target demographic first and foremost.
Yeah, and
then if you can sprinkle it with other interesting characters and demographics throughout the series, even better, because you fill it with color. But you got to get your target demographic first and appeal to them first, and then pick up a fuel. And I think if you get your target demographic right, you'll pick up the rest.
I agree, and I think that's and then you can kind of look at pulling in people outside of that.
That's right. So it's smart casting on their behalf.
So Tim McGraw, I think he's very good. His character is quite insular, and he's a very much the quiet man. But that's
Faith Hill's
she's another one.
She's also a country singer.
Another singer. That's right. Let's just put this on quickly.
It's almost like getting you know what this is like? It suddenly hit me. This is like getting Dolly Parton and Chris Christopher and putting them in a Western series.
Yeah, it's pretty much the modern equivalent of that. That's not a bad. I'm sure Taylor Sheridan would agree with that analogy. That's pretty good. And I don't know if you've seen the cameo, right? The big name cameo in the pilot. The flashback to the American Civil War scene.
That's not in the pilot.
Oh, is that? Oh, again, I think that might be episode 2. Sorry.
Must be episode
so you
2.
just watched the show. I watched it as soon as it came out, and I've watched it once since. But I should have rewatched the first couple of episodes for this show. But I was busy finishing Yellowstone. Well, there's a big name who does like 2 lines, and I mean a really big A-list name.
I remember who you're talking about now. And I can see someone in that photograph related to them.
Yes, you can. Well, look, spoiler alert. If you don't want to hear this name, put the mute button on now for 20 seconds. So they got, so mute now. There you go. They got Tom Hanks to come and just do one scene. And I mean, that role could have been played by any actor, any competent actor. But it's so... because it's that you can go home. It's kind of the line is, I think you can go home now, Sergeant. It's when the war's over, and you can tell that this character doesn't really know what to do with themselves because they've been fighting the war for so long, and they're kind of in shock when it's over and that their life's going to return to normal. They don't know how to function, and that's a thematic thing through a lot of war films as well, like Saving Private Ryan, for example. And then you've got Rita Wilson here. She's great. Her character, quite funny. But
is it that? Oh, gee, we just want to be on this show, and they just come down for a day, and we'll throw you.
Well, listen, I'm pretty sure if we were doing a show and Tom Hanks said, "Hey guys, can I come and do a cameo for scale?" I'm pretty sure I'd say, "Yeah, I think we could fit you in."
Here's
Matt,
an interesting
quick,
fact.
Write him apart, quick. Write him a big monologue, quick.
Here's an interesting fact about something that happened on another Western, which is exactly that. I don't know if you've ever seen the Western The Missing, directed by Ron Howard.
I've seen it.
Val Kilmer makes a cameo as a trooper for like one scene.
God, yeah, that's right.
And do you know why? Because number one, he's worked with Ron Howard before on Willow. But they were filming literally down the road from his ranch, and he found out about it, and he said, "Oh, hi, Ron, has you got anything for me to do? Because I'm just down the road." And they went, "Sure, be the sergeant." And he came down for a couple of days and did it.
What happened to the guy who'd been cast as the sergeant, I wonder?
I don't know if he either got went down to corporal or something. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. Let's talk about Isabel May, because I mean, she's kind of she's the arc of the Virgin Traveller. I mean, in more ways than one.
Yeah.
You know, but she embraces, again, I don't want to spoil things too much for you, but she embraces the West. She embraces the different cultures. She's got a great arc. And it's interesting kind of what happens to her at the end is not quite as what's set up at the beginning. Okay. So they do play with you a bit on that.
Right.
I rate her as an actress. I thought she was good.
No, I think she is a good actress. Maybe I'm looking forward to her getting a little bit more grubby and
I mean, she gets plenty to do as the show goes on. She must have been proper chuffed when she got cast.
And no doubt it'll be a star. No doubt this show will make her a star.
Yeah, and look, deservedly so. Now, this is an actor that I knew I'd seen in things, but I wasn't particularly familiar with his work. And as I said earlier, this is my favorite character in the show.
I think this archetype character in Westerns tend to be the ones you like. They're the dark, competent, brooding, grizzled, very mysterious frontiersman. Yeah,
but one of the things I liked about it, and is that they didn't, out in the West, his race almost became irrelevant. Not completely irrelevant, but they didn't make it. You know, the things that he went through, and they stripped all of that away. And I remember when I sent the Paratrooper script to an actor who committed to it, which is about the first black paratrooper in World War II. I said, what was the first thing that struck you about the script? And he said, well, I liked it because it wasn't about race. I thought it was all going to be about that. And I said, well, this guy was the battalion boxing champion. So anybody that kind of mouthed off to him, he beat the shit out of them. So,
nice.
and also attitudes were very different pre-World War II. So, you know, I just liked his character. That this character could have been so stereotypical, and I actually found both his portrayal and the writing of his character fresh and original. Whereas Sam Elliott's cowboy on One Last Journey, fucking awesome though he was, is a character I have seen before.
Of course, yeah.
It's a character I've seen Sam Elliott play before as well.
Yeah, he's a bit like an old shoe, like fits comfortably, but it's been worn and done to death. But we like it anyway.
Oh, I mean, you know,
this is why
Sam Elliott should sell. Sam Elliott should sell self-help tapes, which are just him talking. It doesn't really matter what he's talking about. Just listen to them all day.
Yeah,
That's what I've seen him in. That's what I've seen him in. Sons of Anarchy.
Okay, yeah.
Because I'm a big fan of Sons of Anarchy.
Oh yeah.
He's done a little bit of producing.
I work with an actor who had a role in Sons of Anarchy.
Was that your lad from Ben Hall that went on to do Walking Dead?
No. That was actually at the beginning of Ben Hall. It was Old Man Gordon, who was teaming up with Ben Hall. He was this older fella who ended up getting caught by the police. The actor's name is Andy McPhee.
Yeah, that rings bells.
And Andy McPhee was he played one of the characters in Sons of Anarchy, and is the father of Cody Smith McPhee, who was the boy in The Road, and then he ended up in the X-Men series. One of the last X-Men films as night shifter or night rider something. And he was also the kid in that recent Western that was all shot in New Zealand by Jane Campion, which was Doubling for Montana. He was also the lead in that. So he's gone on. So his son Cody went on to have a very big, very big career.
I don't usually give child actors a shout out, but I'm going to give this little guy a shout out. So Audie Rick, who plays the Dutton's son. Oh, that's a lovely photo. Look at that.
Cute.
God, you cherish that photo when you're older, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, that's like getting your photo with a legend, you know.
This actor, this child actor, I've got to say, was really good. And you know, and he has quite a lot to do in the show. He's in some pretty tough scenes. Yeah, he was a really good kid. I predict big things.
Cool. As long as it's hard. Kids in movies, man, they're difficult. They can really make or break it, can't they? And because if you get an annoying child in a movie, it just ruins it. But you do it right, it's good. Yeah. Spielberg has always, I think, managed to do it quite well, except for the second Jurassic Park film. I think he.
All right. Well, let's not go there.
He dropped the ball.
I mean, I don't want to stay on this too long because we've got 2 other shows to get through. But there are some other people that are. I mean, all the supporting cast in this are good. They managed to make their mark. Graciela Brancusi.
I tell you what, there is a female
Italian, right?
There's a female actress in this series, 1883, who is also plays a role in the Yellowstone modern series. She plays 2 characters.
That's interesting. And is she playing a descendant of herself?
No, she's not. She's playing an entirely different character.
That's bizarre. I did not know that. I'm surprised that they did that.
The woman, she's like the sister, I think, of Tim McGraw's character.
Right.
And she ends up playing a very vastly different character in season 5 of Yellowstone.
Well, I just want to correct myself before I get chowed out. So she's not Italian. She's born, I think, in Romania, but has parents of Roma, I assume Italy, Greek, and Romanian descent.
Right.
She's the great grandniece of Konstantin Brancusi. Can you look up who that is?
How do you even spell that?
Quick, Matt. Okay, let me copy and paste it.
What's her name again?
Well, her name is Graziella Brancusi. I guess I think it's a famous Romanian. Now she also has done 4 episodes of The Mayor of Kingston. I remember her in it. She's very good, and she's also done theatre. And I mean, look, that's always a safe bet, and I bet Taylor Sheridan knows that. You're going to find some of your best actors will have had groundwork in theatre. Unlike me, she's also got really beautiful teeth. I'm very jealous. I thought she's very good. And she does a lot with that character, and a weaker actress would not have been able to make quite so much with it. I thought she was very good.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing her. I haven't. She looks great, but I haven't. No, I have not been able to. I haven't got to her yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
This lady's pretty good. I don't want to say too much about her character, although you're probably gonna want to murder her. But she was pretty good in it. She's pretty decent. Amanda Jaros, 28 acting credits, so relatively new to the game, so to speak.
She doesn't.
No, I haven't seen any of her. I haven't seen any of her other work, but maybe one for people to look out for. Malcolm Stevenson is an actor I have seen in a couple of other bits, and he's only got 8 credits. But I feel like I've seen his headshot. Now I'm wondering if he's either on We Audition, which is where I do some acting coaching and self-tapes for people and stuff, or if he's actually on a friend of mine's friends list on social media, because I know that headshot from somewhere else.
You'll wake up and remember in the middle of the night, like
I mean, it's and then we have Konstantin Melikov. Would that be correct?
It's quite a international cast, really, isn't it?
Yeah, which is good because it represents the accuracy of the people on the journey well. Now, he was in Startup, which I actually thought was a great show.
Not seen stuff.
They cancelled it. I think it didn't get to do its last season, which was a shame because it kind of hadn't gone the full arc. But
that must be so frustrating when you don't get to finish a show as a creative.
Don't say that out loud, Matt. It could happen to you. Don't tempt fate. I just want to see if there was any other special appearances or actors that particularly stuck out to me, because I do like shouting out people that are at the beginning of their journey. Taylor Sheridan's got a cameo in a couple of episodes.
Of course he does. He's an actor himself. He's got to throw himself in.
I know.
He's probably playing a cowboy because he knows how to ride horses so damn well.
I mean, you've got a couple of big names. Well-known. Graham Greene, Dances with Wolves, etc. Billy Bob Thornton's character is amazing, and I want his costume. This is an actor I really like, Raphael Sabaj. I really rate this guy. You can see him in Independence Day if you watch the big battle at the end, and he's manning one of the headsets and going, okay, Eagle 1, Eagle 2, get alongside this guy when the guy's going to fight.
Oh, that dude. No way.
Yeah.
He went on to have a career.
He's a jobbing character actor who has been around for a long time, and he had a great role in a movie that I love, which I'm going to do a retro review on, called My Science Project. Yeah, not Weird Science, My Science Project.
Yeah.
And now he actually booked me, or tried to book me, to run lines with him. Right. And I was out the room when the call happened, and I just missed it. And I was like, oh my God. So I tracked him down and I wrote to him and I said, look, you ever want to book me again? Here's my email. But I wouldn't have thought an actor of his caliber would need to run a scene. But then I guess someone who's, regardless of how experienced you are, it's just a good professional etiquette, isn't it? To get someone to run a scene with you, or That kind of thing. Yeah. Anyway, he's a great actor. I proper rate him. People should give him more work and bigger parts. So yeah, and I mean, well, Graham Greene, has been in loads of stuff. I mean, I'm just seeing if there were a couple of like one episode cameos that I thought were really good, but it'll probably take me too long to go through all those. I give that overall for me, the show is probably a 9 out of 10 when I got to the end of it.
I suspect my rating will probably go up as it goes along.
Yeah, I probably would have given the pilot would have given it 10 out of 10 for production design, but I'd probably given the pilot about 7 in terms of grabbing hold of me. But I remember when they dropped the pilot and the second episode, I think.
Right.
Within a couple, either on the same day. It was Boxing Day. But not Boxing Day last year, Boxing Day 2021, I think it dropped. And I watched them both together.
It's a good idea because it's like one movie. It's like watching a movie, isn't it? 2 hours.
Yeah. And that's when I was straight on the phone to you and said, dude, you've got to see this show. It's so good.
I probably would have watched the second one straight away, but it was late at night when I started it. So it was just not, I have to get up early these days to do editing. So anyway.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Okay, well, let's move.
Can we move on to 1923?
Yeah, so I'll talk about this briefly because I don't think you've seen any of it. Is that right?
I haven't seen 1923. I don't have access. I don't have the streaming service. I shut my account down because I had to downscale some of my streaming services.
Well, with the rising cost of living,
it is rising, and I had to make some cuts, and so I'm afraid that one got the axe. And I've used up my 30-day trial, so I can't go and use my 30-day trial to watch it.
Well, there's something interesting I want to show you about this because there's a brilliant scene. There's a few things I want to say. We won't talk about it too much because you haven't seen it, but on my notes. Okay, so I'll tell you the things I love about the show. And if it wasn't for the African storyline, I would like 1923 would be not the African story, the lovers storyline, we'll call it. If it wasn't for that storyline, which I think for me is the show's weak element.
Okay.
And let me change the banner as we've now moved topics. By the way, my favorite memorable moment of 1883 is the standoff with the sheriff in the bar and the way that's filmed. And I'll leave that there. So, okay, so on to 1923. Yeah, there are two main story threads. There's the story thread with the Duttons at home, and they've now established their land, and they've got their ranch, and they've got their cattle, and they're now fighting various nefarious forces to keep hold of it. The two leads are Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren.
Yeah,
and there's kind of great grandma. Would it be Kevin Costner's character's great grandma or great grandma, something like that?
Yeah, it would.
But those two as sort of down the line as his great grandparents or great grandparents couldn't have got better casting. And fantastic. I mean, the first time you see Helen Mirren in the show, and they do that thing again where they show you a scene from something that's coming later, but it does kind of work. She's got a shotgun and someone's begging for their life, and she says, "Too fucking late," or not that word, but words to that effect. Boom, and I need to be careful with swearing. I think you can get ratioed.
Yeah, right. You know what's interesting?
It's her best role since the Queen, I would say.
Okay. And she's got a lot of good roles. You know what's interesting? There's a nice little connection between Harrison Ford and Kevin Costner now that he's playing Kevin Costner's ancestor.
Tell that story while I find this thing on the map that I'm going to look for.
Sure. What I didn't know, and just until recently, the role of the president in Air Force One was originally meant to be Kevin Costner.
Right, I did not know that.
It was being developed as a Kevin Costner vehicle, and he had the role for ages, but he wanted to go off and make The Postman. And he said to...
We could do another stream about that film.
Yeah. So what he did is he said to the producers who are running it, he said, "I can't do it. I've got to do something else, but I'll relinquish the role, but I'll only relinquish it to Harrison Ford." if Harrison Ford wants it, he can have it, and with my blessing, take it. And
Wow.
so they went to Harrison Ford and gave it to him, and then Harrison Ford took it. It ended up being one of Harrison Ford's biggest films, and also really cemented him as a big star as he was going into his older years.
Yeah,
and ended up being one of his biggest earners for him personally. So Harrison Ford often has been heard to thank Kevin Costner for giving him that part. And I watched Air Force One the other day, and gee, I can't imagine anyone else but Harrison Ford playing that role. Like Kevin, I love Kevin, but that was fake. Ford was meant to be that role.
I actually really like I really like Air Force One. And that's the Das Boot guy, German director,
Wolfgang Petersen.
Yep. Wolfgang Petersen. He did a really good job with that.
It was such a visceral film. I saw it in the Sen Stadium cinema when I first saw it, and man, the sound was incredible. That Jerry Goldsmith score and everything. So
yeah,
but anyway, that's a nice
sequence where they take the plane.
Yes.
Up to the point that they try to land it and then it's taken off again. That whole sequence, which is probably about 25 minutes, is pure adrenaline cinema.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Let me show you something interesting about 1923. Sorry, go on. If you're going to add something.
I was going to say that's just a nice connection between Harrison and Kevin Costner.
So this is the town of Butte in Montana. And there's an amazing scene where Harrison Ford and his family ride into the main town, and they've shot it in a real street. This is not a set, but they've redressed it.
Oh, yeah.
And there's so much production design going on. There's a boxing match at one point. You've got women protesting against the sale of liquor with a bit of a suffragette vibe. And then Harrison Ford rides up to the building. And in fact, this happens in the last episode, but the first time he comes to the town, you can already see the changes of the new world, and they don't like it. And then in the last episode of the show, and there's another season coming, as season 1, episode 8, he rides up to the town hall again, and he goes, "Where's the hitching post?" "Oh, well, we've removed them now to make space for parking for motor vehicles." "You did what?" And then he basically hitches up his horse anyway to the nearest tree and puts them in the parking space. "What are you doing?" "Hitching my ride." And just that little thing of where's the hitching post gone? That's brilliant writing right there.
That's right.
That's the theme of his whole story is resistance to change.
Yes. And how the new technology coming in, the world is moving on. It's great.
So that sequence was filmed somewhere in this town. And do you know what? I did find it. I found the street. I could just about recognize it. And I think I know where it is. But I'm going to show you this first, Matt, because you'll like this. There's also a World of Museum of Mining. I think it's like a kind of, there's a Western set there you can see.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure they probably used part of this for Tombstone.
Yeah.
Can we get on the street here? Let's have a look. I think we can. Let's have a quick look. There we go.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Like a little recreation.
Yeah.
We had one of those outside Melbourne. It's called Sovereign Hill. It's a great big theme thing to seeing what the mining era was like in that day. You can film there, but it costs $10,000 a day.
Ah, well, yeah. I mean, for budgets like you and I play with, we keep that sort of change in our underwear, don't we?
That's right. We just walk in and just pull that out of our pocket. Is that all? Okay, there you go. We're here for a week.
I think we might have to build the set out of Lego for those kinds of prices. I mean, they've got a bit more of it over here. It's a nice little place and there's an underground mine education centre. So it's nice that they've got those things. Now, I think if I go this way to the street that's got the Dumas brothel on it.
Oh, yeah.
Now, go to ground view. I might be wrong, but right now. So, right now the street that they redressed. I can't be 100% sure which one it is, but it's in this area.
Yep.
And you can see that a lot of these buildings have a really oldly look.
Yep. You could redress this very easily.
Yeah, now I think that's the old brothel building, I believe.
Right. Looks great. Looks very old.
I think this might have been the street because there, it looks like this might have been the place where the boxing ring was at the side. But then I also remember that tall building on the right up the other street there. But they came round a crossroads, and there was these kind of red bricks. You can see, a lot of this area is closed up and run down. So closing this off to the public would not be too big an ask.
No, and then you just build facades over all those buildings.
Well, I mean, most of these were more or less intact, except that they just redressed the windows. But I'm pretty sure this was it. I'm pretty sure it was this section here. And I think,
because lay dirt all over the ground.
Yeah, that's right. Covered the ground with, like sawdust. And I think they came around I think Harrison Ford came around the corner up here.
Yeah.
This does look a lot like it.
Yeah.
And and I mean, you probably also had CGI elements and other things, but
that's amazing what you can set dress. I don't know how they would have gotten rid of those traffic lights, but anyway.
CGI removal, mate.
Yeah. Digital
removal in post-production.
It certainly does help, the old digital removal. It certainly will hide a lot of sins.
And this was another this bit of the street as well. I don't know. They might have used this, but I'm really not sure. But I'd love to know the exact. I'd try and work it out exactly where they put the camera. But I found all that fascinating, and it was great to see the effort that went in. And again, it's all about that resistance to change. And there's a guy comes up to him and says, "Hey, so we're selling fridge freezers. They've got one in every house. Every house is going to have electricity soon." And Harrison Ford's character is like, "What do I need that for?" Which would seem absurd now, but it's a great moment though. It's but 1923 for me has got a weaker aspect, and I have to say that for me that's the love storyline between the missing Dutton brother who went away to fight World War One. He's kind of working through his PTSD, so he goes and does hunting in Africa.
And that's going to do it.
Well, yeah, right. Come out with a whole load of new PTSD.
Yeah, I'll go butcher some innocent animals. Yeah, that'll help my trauma.
But this is very Lord of the Rings poster. This poster very Lord of the Rings. I like it though, and it's funny as well because they've cast actors in some of the other roles who we know are going to end up creating the children that create the children that are the characters in Yellowstone. Yeah, and they've deliberately cast some people that look a bit like other people.
Okay.
But there's nothing wrong with the two actors that play the British. He basically, the brother falls in love with a British woman, and I'll get on to cast in a second, and we won't spend too long on it because we want to get onto Yellowstone. But I've got to talk about Timothy Dalton though. I was hoping they might have a picture of him, but that's no. This actor I really like, Darren Mann. I really like him. He's really good. That's Helen Mirren. Oh, Robert Patrick.
The Terminator's in there.
Yep.
Robert Patrick.
He plays like the old sort of grumpy sheriff, and he's really good in it too.
Yeah, it's great to see all these actors play these parts that we all grew up with because we all know who they are,
Darren Mann channeling his inner young Brad Pitt there.
Yeah.
Brian Geraghty is another actor I really like. And I first saw him in We Are Marshall, but he was also in The Hurt Locker. It's like the main character in The Hurt Locker. He's really good in it. But the other things I bring to your attention that make this show so great is it covers the brutality and the abuse that the priests of the Catholic Church and the nuns meted out on the Indians that they were trying to convert.
Wow.
And it doesn't pull any punches about that. Now, that for me was one of the strongest elements in the show. And if I had a favorite moment, let's just say that there's a scene where an Indian gets her revenge on a nun. And that's a good scene. And the characters never react the way that they would react in another show.
Okay.
You know, when people like get punched or they hit, instead of being submissive, they'll get more violent, and it's very, very brutal. It's a very, again, it feels very real. But then we kind of go into romancing the stone territory with I know they don't seem to have any pictures of those characters up. This is what from the shoot in Kenya. I think it was filmed in Kenya. And there's all the cast with the other brother, and you have him with his British love interest. Nothing wrong with the actors. I just find that storyline is a bit weak.
Just not landing. Just not sticking the landing very well.
This is the guy who. This is one of his scenes. This is him hunting in Africa. He's a great actor. It's just that the whole point of that storyline is to show you he's trying to get home, but things keep going wrong. And every episode, it's like one step closer to home, two steps backwards when they cut to their storyline. And when they've done that 3 times, I kind of know what's coming.
Yeah.
And, you know that he's going to make a bad decision every time we cut to his storyline that's going to make it harder for him to get home. But the stuff that's happening at home is so gripping and exciting. I just found that a real distraction.
Right. Do you think?
Obviously, when he comes home, it's going to be a big payoff. So I guess that's the reason to create a big.
Do you think that is 1923 being made as a? Is it a limited series, or do they expect this will keep going and indefinitely, like Yellowstone?
I think it needs 3 seasons.
Right.
I don't think it needs more than 3 seasons. I think if they try to complete everything in the next season, that might be a bit rushed if it's only 8 episodes. If it's 10, they could do it. But I think 3 seasons would be really comfortable. I'll give some of the more unknown actors a shout out in a second. Jerome Flynn's in it. You know, Game of Thrones, Soldier. We don't need to say how great he is. Now, Timothy Dalton has a line to him. So Timothy Dalton is kind of playing a rich land grabber, okay? And shit, is his character evil. Oh, my God.
He does evil really well.
He does do evil really well, but he's never done evil quite this well.
Cool.
In 1923. And at one point he says to this character, this is going to make you loads of money. And he says, I don't need money. I've already got loads of money. And Timothy Dalton says, yeah, you have some money. That doesn't make you rich. And it's just the way he says the line. And his whole thing, without getting into spoilers and going into too much detail, his whole thing is BDSM. And there's a scene with 2 women where he is proper evil. Wow. And you think the scene's going one direction, and then he flips it and makes it even more evil. And that's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
But it's a brilliant scene, and it's quite horrifying. And he's not as nice as he is in that. I think this is going to be. I don't think he's going to get a better role than this. And he's loving it. You can tell he's loving playing him.
Right. It's sort of his swan song performance.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I'm sure he's got a few left in him, but he's really good. Mention a couple of the younger, less well-known cast before we move on to the main event. I particularly thought this actress was really good. She plays a Native American Indian. She's the one who, that is a still from 1923. She's the one who gives the nun her comeuppance, who's played by Jennifer Ehle, a brilliant British actress who was in Zero Dark 30. People may know her from. And Jennifer Ehle is the agent that gets blown up by the bomb when she thinks she's bringing somebody in. She's really good. This actor's very good, who plays a young Indian in the show. I really liked him, thought he was great. I think, it was in Sitting Bull. I didn't know that. Or played Sitting Bull in a different show. That's interesting. Yeah, he's really good. I haven't seen him in many other things. But he's got 65 acting credits, though, so he's done a few bits. Wow. Yeah.
Hey, do you want to hear an interesting story about one of the actors from Dances with Wolves?
Is the Pope a Catholic? I love interesting stories, Matt.
Well, I only found this out the other day, but do you remember Smiles a Lot from Dances with Wolves? The
Yeah,
young,
yeah, of
skinny-
course. I just watched it actually about 2 months ago.
Well, Smiles a Lot. I can't remember the actor's name, so forgive me. I don't recall it right now.
Right.
He grew up because that film is 30 years old now or more. He grew up and actually became the leader of a cult, and actually got himself in a lot.
You're talking about the Indian guy with the long hair, the kind of young,
Yes,
good-looking one.
the young, handsome, thin guy who plays Dance with the Fist ended up becoming relatively famous because of his role, got some other acting parts and so on, ended up becoming the leader of a cult, got himself lots of wives or girlfriends or something, and ended up getting arrested. And is currently in a lot of trouble and in jail because of his abuse and so on towards people in this cult that he led.
Oh my God, that's batshit nuts, man.
It is batshit nuts, and it's really sad because it's like we all remember Smiles a Lot from Dance with Wolves, and that's where his path led, which is very interesting. He got in a lot of trouble on the reservation that he lived in. They kicked him out because he was causing trouble, and he ended up starting this cult. And I think because of his fame, he was able to use that fame to bring people to his cult.
Man, that's going to be a Netflix documentary. I'm telling you,
I'm sure there'll be one at one stage.
That's going to be a Netflix documentary coming this way soon. Taylor Sheridan, you heard it here first. I've got to, you know me, I love my character actors, right? And I know my character actors. I've got to give Jamie McShane a shout out. This guy's one of my favorite character actors. He's good in everything he's in. And he's in a couple of episodes, I think 3 episodes of 1923, 151 acting credits. You will have seen him in something, Matt. He's been in Animal Kingdom, which is another favorite show of mine. And I mean, numerous other things. He's done all the usual Law and Orders, and he's even been in Star Trek.
Can you show me his picture? Show me a picture of him again?
Yeah, let me show you a couple of different photos of him. He's been in.
Oh, that guy. Okay.
Been in lots of stuff. He
Yeah.
normally plays kind of cops or creepy serial killers.
He just pops up every now and again. Yeah. He seems familiar. Yeah.
He's a really, really good, solid actor, and I would love to see him in a lead role in something because he's definitely earned it. And he gets to do great little parts, but I'd love to see him. Somebody give him a lead role because let him anchor a show because he can do it. And then this guy I've got to give a shout out to. Now, mate, this is the other evil character in the show, and boy, is he evil. Hang on, there's a shot of his character. Let me show you. I just saw it. Where is it? There it is.
Oh, yeah. Well, look at that.
Catholic Church.
Yeah, there it is.
And he punishes the sister for overly punishing the Indian girl in the classroom. And just like you were too severe with her because she broke her fingers. And so then he does the same to the nun, but worse.
Oh my God.
And then that's when the nun says, now you understand what we have to go through. And he seems like he's going to be all right. He's actually like a godly, pious man. And then he just turns out to be evil personified. And you know what? A lot of them were like that because they were far away from home and they knew that they could get away with absolutely everything.
Yeah. And they had a lot of power and a lot of piety.
And I like that. I like the fact that this is in there and the religion and because it's great that it's part of that world because it was that was seeping in and changing the country and the culture as well. It's great that Taylor Sheridan has not left that out. That's one of the things for me, that and the way that the Indians are treated and the changes that they're going through and that they're being brought into the westernized culture. All of those topics are what make 1923 brilliant. Action, adventure, romance, couple trying to get home, doesn't quite work for me. But I get why, and I'm sure there's going to be big payoff. Just quickly before we move on, my favorite character in 1923 is probably a toss-up between Helen Mirren or Timothy Dalton's villain. Definitely Dalton's villain is one of my best favorite villains. We needed a top 10 villains show. That'd be good. But that's one of the things that I really like. All right, so it'd be great to see what you think of the show.
Yep, I'm sure I'll enjoy it
you'll agree
immensely
with
once
me.
I get to it.
I think you'll agree with my criticisms, but we'll see. Okay, so Yellowstone, 5 seasons.
Yellowstone, indeed.
Now, I just saw the last episode. We'll talk about that in a sec.
Yep.
One of the things that all of these shows have got is they've got a particularly consistent look. We talked about that earlier. They're cinematic, good casting, strong scripts for the most part. But they all have great opening title sequences with very moving cinematic music that feels like an old school score, which I like.
Yes.
Very
noticeable theme. Yeah. It always opens with those dark shapes, which shows the the cattle and the horses and industry coming in and changing landscape and things like that.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful, and the music's great, and it's very evocative. Very evocative.
Yeah.
One of the first things that stood out to me was actually the opening sequence, and I really love the opening sequence of 1883. Actually, with all those old photographs and those sort of moving images, that was really well done too.
Yeah. 1923's got an equally good opening title sequence. I mean, why do we think Yellowstone is popular? Because it took me a while to see it all, because I watched the first season and I thought this is like a modern version of Dallas, but more about losing land than finding oil, about warring families and factions and whatnot. Great cast. But at first it wasn't really grabbing me. And then I think there probably was a year's gap between me seeing season 1 and then I watched 2 and 3. And of course, as soon as I got to the end of season 3, I was like, shit, is season 4 out yet? I need to watch it. And I think it had just started. So I was able to then watch 4 as it dropped. So it did take a while for me to get into it, but that's what I know. A lot of my friends have watched it and they haven't got through the first season. And I've said, look, trust me, the payoff that you're going to get is great. Yeah. I mean, putting the acting aside, because we'll get onto the actors and favorite characters, and there's so much to say about them. What for you makes it a great show?
Well, that's what I think it makes it a great show, and then there's another reason why I think it's popular. I think
are the two the same?
No, they're not the same.
Why do you think it's popular? Let's start with why do you think it's popular?
Look, I think it's popular because it's about family, and it's ultimately really a soap opera but set in this environment. It's about a father, brothers, sisters, lovers, husbands. And I think people are drawn to family drama because we all have families, we all have drama, and I think ultimately that's what hooks everybody in, because we see familiarity in it, and that's what. So I think anytime you have a series that's centered around a family, most series are very, very successful because, Lost in Space is about a family. What there was Little House on the Prairie was about a family. So most series that are successful center around family units, and I think that's really what the hook is. Ultimately, that's why the Star Wars saga is so popular, because it's about a family. So that's why I think it's popular, and it's very well made too. And I think it's got enough of that violence that sort of comes in and hooks you in with all the interesting characters and twists and turns. For me, though, I like the grey characters, and I like I think that the fact we're watching these characters that are kind of. In fact, when I started watching it, I was like, "Oh, okay, it's basically cowboy gangsters." This is basically the story of a Don, a godfather, who runs a crime syndicate family, and he's drawing all of his family into this crime family of his. But instead of being in Chicago in the 30s or something, it's out on a ranch.
Yeah.
And that, for me, I thought the crime aspect of it is what was hooking people in, because it was like watching The Godfather set on a ranch. But for me, that's where I think seasons 1 to 3 are the strongest, but I have found seasons 4 and 5 the weakest, because I feel like it's moving away from the crime family, and it's starting to feel a little bit more like soap opera. And it's also starting to feel, especially season 5 for me, it's got a lot of what my wife and I call cowboy porn, which is people.
Yeah, but you like cowboy porn, don't you? You and me are both cowboys at heart, man.
I like Western porn, but this is cowboy, where it's just lots and lots of scenes that are not about plot, but rather about people listening to country music and playing country music, rounding up cattle, showing off their horse skills, branding these poor cattle. And it's not really moving the plot. It's just showing off this lifestyle. And it's like, that's good, but you don't need 4 minutes of it. Just do 30 seconds of it and move on. I've
got a counter argument to that, but I'll let you finish like a politician.
But no, I just find it. We were starting to get actually bored in season 5, and we're actually fast forwarding through that stuff because we're like, this isn't moving the plot. Get on with it. We want to see what's going on with Jamie. We want to see what's happening with Beth. And all we're watching is cowboys running in circles and doing stuff. And after a while, it was like, oh, come on, guys. This is what I call filler. Stop filling the show. Put some story into it.
Okay, interesting.
Season 5 was the guiltiest. 4 was less, but 5, it was like, come on, guys.
Before I offer my opinion on these subjects, what was your time difference between? When did you first watch season 1?
I watched season 1 and 2 almost back to back.
Right. Was it me that said you should watch Yellowstone?
No, I don't think so. I think
it might have been you that said to me I should watch Yellowstone.
I think so. I think someone else recommended it to me, and I think I might have recommended it to you. So
what year was it? What year was it that you watched season? It would have been
220 or something, maybe. Yeah, 220. Yeah. Wow, David Macy.
Yeah, we love David. He's always here. This is interesting because he said the IMDb demographics that it's watched by more females than males. Well, there's a lot of male cowboy porn in it.
I've got a theory about this, David, and I'd like to share it.
Yeah, all right, go on. You do that now as well while we're on.
Okay. What I find personally, I find with series like this is that they are, because it's cowboys, and there is a leaning to have a predominantly male audience, right? Predominantly male cast.
Right.
Like most Westerns have predominantly male casts. And we tend to think that therefore they must the target demographic is men of the same age. And they're the only ones who watch Westerns and this type of stuff. But if you look at the demographics, as David has pointed out, it's watched predominantly by females, and more so. And I also noticed that when I look at the statistics on my own film, Ben Hall, I have a very large female, just clips over the men in popularity. And I'm thinking, why is this? And you know what? I think women like watching films and shows about men.
They do. I mean,
because they're women. They like men. They like watching shows about men. My
friend Lorena Creole and they do a regular show, and it's a kind of sub show of Lorena's channel, and it's male appreciation of and they did one on the Jack Reacher series, and and the lead is a very hunky muscly guy, and women, a lot of women like watching hunky muscly guys do hunky muscular things,
guy things. And I think that's something very important to remember when we, because I know there's a big push these days to sort of spin everything around, but I sort of think, well, remember, females like watching these hunky guys. I mean, you got Kevin Costner, and you got that guy who plays Rip, and you've got the Son, and they're all these really handsome, charismatic.
And there's somebody for every age. There's somebody for every age category as well.
And you know, and the women as well. There's lots of really great female characters for us guys who want to see some strong and beautiful women of various age and demographics, and so it's great. But I have noticed that. I mean, my wife, for example, like most of her favorite movies, or many of her favorite movies, are very male dominated, very male heavy in the cast, like Dead Poets Society. I mean, find a female in that film.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's popular because, and also, like I said, hitting a target demographic. I mean, there's obviously this reveals a huge subculture in America, which is the people who do live in the country, who are cowboys, who live on ranches and run cattle and listen to, they listen to all kinds of music, country and Western. And, and it shows that demographic. And obviously a lot of people in America really like seeing their world and their culture shown on the screen. So, and very authentically too, clearly, because Taylor Sheridan is a cowboy himself.
Yeah. I mean, the show, look, some crazy shit happens in the show, which pushes the rules of its reality quite strongly, but it does
but the world's authentic.
It feels like a show that's grounded in its own universe.
Yes. And reflects a real, maybe the storylines get a bit far-fetched, but this is what America in those parts is probably like, and this is how these people live.
Yeah, and these types of characters do exist there, and the writers have met people and probably based them on these kind of characters. And David said, could Disney learn from this? Yes, they could, but I haven't got time to explain why, because I want to talk about the show, not fucking Disney. But I mean, I've got a couple of, they're not opposing theories. I think they're additional theories as to why I think it's popular. One of them is, like I said, it's to do with the theme of the show, which is about resistance of change. 1883 isn't about resistance of change. 1883 is about exploring the unknown and being brave about going into the unknown and finding what's out there and being a frontiersman and what that means and all that comes with it. But 1923 is about that world vanishing and the people that are used to that world and that way of life, and them resisting that change. And Yellowstone is about the surrounding forces trying to take what they have left of it in the present world today. And I think there's probably a massive audience for this show over the age of 40, particularly probably Texans and also people that live in Montana and can know and relate to these characters, and anybody that feels in any vague way that they're a cowboy. And I was in Texas not that long ago, and you go out of the main towns and you drive around the countryside. Every 500 yards, you pass a gate to a ranch, and it's got its own symbol on it, and you can see the big ranch house, and there's a lot of land around it. And then you go another couple of miles, and then there's another one, and then there's another one. I've got some photos of these. I should have put them up, and you can tell straight away you're in a different culture, you're in a different world. And I think that there's a lot of people that live in that world that want to see a show about that world, and they haven't had a show about that world before. And Taylor Sheridan is giving them that show. And I think that as we get older, like my dad would, complain about stuff that he didn't like, changes he saw and whatever, increase in crime and so on. And, he would moan about politicians and say how, politics wasn't like this in Denmark when I was growing up. They all talked to each other. They didn't just constantly try and make each other look rubbish. And I said, "Oh, Dad, well, things have changed." And but there's a lot of older people that, again, they're all feeling resistance to change. So I just think that core theme, you've got all those people. Then I agree, another demographic is ladies like watching cowboys doing manly things. So you've got those people.
Very alpha males.
Yeah. And then it's also a bit of an action series, which kind of didn't really happen in season 1. And then towards the end of season 2 and season 3, it's gunfights aplenty,
Yeah.
Especially... the climax of season 3.
That's right. I mean, and that's why I think the first 3 seasons for me are the best, because it very much feels like a crime family saga wrapped up in the skin of a ranch family soap opera. And that's what's so strong about it. But I feel that seasons 4 and 5 have lost their way, and I feel like they're just padding out the I probably would have liked Yellowstone if they just made it 4 seasons and they just went boom, boom, boom. But I think its popularity now is starting to, for me, feel like it's outstaying its welcome. I'll watch season 6, of course. I have to see how all this goes, and I think I know where it's going, and maybe I don't. But I probably would have been happy with it if it just wrapped up in maybe 4 seasons, maybe 5 at the most. But
yeah. I mean, within the context of the story you just explained, it did feel perhaps that, you know, Kevin Costner's character becoming the governor was maybe a step too far, because that puts him in a very public domain, and, you know, criminals generally don't like to bring attention to themselves. But then, of course, he is somebody who is attracted by power to some degree. So it didn't feel like too much.
And we have all this thing now with Kevin Costner, like, wanting to reduce his time on the series because he's got his own great big Western TV series that he's about to start producing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm going to get the name of it for you, but he's on the verge of beginning to start. And I think he just wants to go and do that. Horizon. Here we go. Part 2. Kevin Costner Western series Horizon is underway in Utah. So they're making a big Western series called for Paramount called Horizon, and I think that's pretty much got Kevin Costner's heart now, and he wants to go and do that.
Well, maybe he's going to get assassinated as the governor in season 6, and that'll be him done. You know.
Yes.
I mean, it's the cliffhanger for season 5 without getting into spoilers. And there's one of my favorite character actors, Neil McDonough.
Yeah.
Little story: when my friend Stephen Walters was filming Band of Brothers, and he was on it for about 4 weeks, and he didn't like staying in hotels, so he stayed with me. And he'd get up really early at like 4 o'clock, and I would often like walk him to the door because you know me, I'm up at all hours. And who was sitting in the car waiting in the same car to go to set? Neil, sitting there. And I didn't know who I didn't know that he was going to become the big star, but I recognized him straight away because he was in the Waco TV movie when he was really young.
Yeah.
And he was pretty good in that, actually. And and it was so weird. He's sitting in the car outside my house, you know.
He is a great actor.
He's a fantastic actor. He's brilliant in everything.
Yeah, and an interesting character as well. There's been some controversy around him. Not controversy, but he's been in the news for a couple of things. But anyway,
don't tell me he ran off and started a cult as well, did he?
No, he's actually really quite decent, and that's a decent moral man, and that's part of the reason why he doesn't get cast. That's what he reckons. Hang on one sec.
Yeah, no problem. Well, I'm going to talk about some of the other cast.
Now, I have to correct myself. Kevin Costner is not making a television series called Horizon. He is making a series of 4 feature films in the Horizon series. He plans to make 4 Horizon films shot back to back. He's confirmed the first film has been shot as of November last year, and the second one's greenlit and is going to be filmed it starts filming pretty much now. Huge cast: Kevin Costner, Sienna Miller, Sam Worthington, Luke Wilson, Thomas Hayden Church, Jeff Fahey.
Wow, that's one from Tombstone, one from Silverado, right there.
Yep. And my friend Angus McFadden.
Angus.
Yeah, Angus McFadden's in it. Jim and Will Patton comes back. He's a bit.
Oh, Matt, you should ask Angus if he'd come on the show for an interview. I bet he would.
Yeah, I should. I'll reach out to him, see if he will. He's great, Angus. Yeah, he was going to play a police commander or whatever in my Glen Rowan movie before
yeah, I
it
remember.
sank beneath the waves. So yeah,
he's
so
in
look out.
Braveheart. Angus McFadden is in Braveheart. For those people watching, he plays Robert the Bruce.
Yeah, and he also plays Robert the Bruce again in his own sort of spiritual sequel, Robert the Bruce, that he produced and wrote a few years ago. So a whole bunch of Kevin Costner westerns coming, and they're all set in pre and post American Civil War, depicting the expansion of the American West. And it's produced by New Line Cinema and Warner Brothers, distributed by Warner Brothers.
God, the budget on those has got to be epic. That must be like 80 million a movie at least.
Yeah, so
if not more.
I'm hugely excited. It's a passion project for Kevin. No wonder he wants to wrap up things on Yellowstone, because he's obviously got lots of other commitments. And look, one thing just to remember, those of you who really like Kevin Costner westerns, and you want to see another series with Kevin Costner playing a bad dude, do check out this one, Hatfields and McCoy.
Oh yeah, the Hatfields and McCoy. I've seen that.
Yeah, with Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton, yeah.
And they playing the feuding family. This is down in the south.
Yeah, man, you got the Blu-ray of that. I didn't even know the Blu-ray of that was out.
Yeah, this is a Blu-ray here in Australia released. It's a great series, but what's interesting about it is that none of it was shot in America.
No, I know. It was
all shot in Romania.
You can kind of tell when you watch it.
So, but
Eastern Europe, wasn't it? Wasn't it Eastern Europe?
Yeah, Romania. Yeah. It's great series, really, really good series, and I was pleasantly surprised and great to see Kevin playing a bad dude.
All right, let's talk about the cast of Yellowstone.
Yes,
I know my answer to this question. Who's your favorite character in the show?
My favorite character, my favorite character is Jamie.
Okay, my favorite character is Beth, played by Kelly Riley, and I mean, we'll come on to the next question about favorite memorable moment of the show so far. We can pick more than one. I mean, Kelly Riley is kind of like, she really reminds me of.
That's funny. You like Beth. I like Jamie, and those two characters hate each other.
Yeah. Now, but it's Wes Bentley, isn't it, that plays Jamie? Yeah. I love Wes Bentley as an actor, and I think he's great as Jamie. And I like the character of Jamie because he's complex. He's kind of like the orphan child. There's loads. He's got a great arc, and what's happening with him is in season 5 is definitely the more interesting storyline. But I just love the fact that Beth is such a tiger, and I think it does kind of allude, doesn't it? Allude that she's a bit bi in one scene.
It does a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I think she's kind of.
She says, "Oh, women. Daddy, I had, I didn't tell you. I told you when I had my first threesome or something, didn't she?"
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah,
she's kind of, she's traveled the world and done a bit of everything, but knows what she wants, and she's also fiercely like loyal to the family and
except Jamie.
Well, who she doesn't consider family.
That's right.
And then she makes mistakes, but I mean, what a great part for an actress as well. And yes. Kelly Riley really brings it home.
Oh yeah.
I really do like her.
I think Kelly Riley is a fantastic actor, and she plays that character phenomenally well. She does it so well. I don't like the character.
Well, that's a compliment.
So look, so I'm not ragging.
Yeah, I mean, the character's super toxic.
She's so toxic. She's shockingly toxic character. I know she's got some good sides, but she is overall one of the most toxic characters. But I absolutely commend the series for doing that. Like, giving us a female character that toxic and this 3-dimensional. Like, that's amazing. And I think it's fantastic. And it's great writing, phenomenal character. But I really don't like the character herself. But I think the actress is doing a phenomenal job.
Yeah, because, I mean, she's like not great at everything.
Not at all. She's so flawed. But that's what we want. Yeah. And that's what I like about the series, is that everyone's flawed. Even the wife of the youngest son, who comes off a little bit too perfect, she's still got flaws as well.
Is that Luke Grimes' wife?
Yeah. I really like Luke Grimes as an actor.
I do as well.
Really warmed. His character's a little bit one note, but I like the actor. I think he's really good. I want to see more movies with Luke. I want to see him become a bit more.
In a show like this, for it to work, you've got to have somebody in the family who's always trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, he's the straight man.
Who's got the moral compass that we all wish we had, and that's him in the show.
But he still walks a line. But you always understand his reasons, and you go, well, you know what? I'd probably do the same thing if I was, even though he did the wrong thing, I'd probably do what he did, because he's never really does the wrong. He never really, he's interesting.
The shop where I bought this Yellowstone hat from in Texas, which is right around the corner from the book depository, they sell that body warmer. And they've got about 15 replica clothing items from Yellowstone, and they must be big sellers.
Oh, they would be. People would love to get the clothing from Yellowstone. Of course.
I have to admit, I really wanted to get Kevin Costner's dad, which would have, really secured me into my image of old age. But it was Kevin Costner's jacket was like 200 quid. It was proper expensive. So this jacket that Cole Howes was wearing, we'll talk about Cole Hauser next, actually. That was there for sale with the Yellowstone logo on it.
Nice.
It's kind of like a sort of heavy denim material. That was about 250, maybe even $300 in the store.
It was an oilskin, isn't it?
Oilskin.
Oilskins are always very expensive.
Jacket, man. I mean, look, I could barely afford to get to Texas, so I wasn't going to be there buying $300 jackets. But God, I would.
300 US too.
Yeah. And actually, our current exchange rate, that's probably about £5,000. Cole Hauser is an actor that I really like, and this is the first time I've really got to see him play a character on a journey and do loads of different things. Now, he's the son of Wings Hauser, Wings Hauser was a bit like, if you couldn't get Gary Busey in your movie, you'd get Wings Hauser.
Okay.
And Wings Hauser did a lot of straight-to-video thrillers, horrors, things of that nature. I think he was Wings Hauser in Razorback? I might be wrong about that, but he did a lot of films around the time Razorback came out.
Right.
And so
I'll have
anyway,
a look for you while you're talking.
Yeah, so Cole is his son.
Oh, so he actually comes from some sort of acting family.
That's right. Yeah.
Wow.
And I really rate Cole as an actor. And I think because he was Wings Hauser's son, I think for a while his wings were a little bit clipped because his dad never had a massive breakout role that, made him uber famous. He was a jobbing actor that did a lot of sort of mid-budget to low-budget films.
And I can see from his filmography, he's done a lot of television and a lot of films, but no film that was ever really huge.
Yeah. What had Cole Hauser done mainly before Yellowstone? Do you want to just check out?
Oh, yeah, no, I know. I'm quite familiar with Cole. The first film I saw Cole Hauser in was one of the three buddies of Matt Damon in Good Will Hunting. He had Ben Affleck, Cole Hauser.
Yeah.
And he's red hair, very thin, and Casey Affleck. They were his three buddies, Boston buddies.
That's right.
That's the first film I saw him in, and then he branched out and became his own actor, and that was he was the tough male counter lead to Vin Diesel in Pitch Black.
God, yeah, that's right. Yeah, he didn't have any facial hair. He was clean shaven, wasn't he?
Clean shaven, very thin, short hair, very and kind of a bad guy.
Yeah.
And he sort of got lost a little bit, whereas Casey Affleck and Ben Affleck and Matt Damon all sort of went off and became big actors after Good Will Hunting. Cole Hauser kind of got lost and a bit sort of stuck in the B world, I guess, like a bit like his father. And then in this is like suddenly here he comes. Like now he's big.
Well, you know what? It's like, you could always tell he could act. So you give someone a good script and they'll make it great. If they're a great actor, they'll take a good script and make it amazing and do so much with it. And his character's probably got the best arc, I think, especially the way that his relationship with Beth is handled. And I like the whole, because at the beginning, of course, they're trying to hide it from the dad because Beth kind of, Dad wouldn't want me to be with a cowboy. But I think then when Costner accepts it, Mr. Dutton is kind of knows his daughter's going to end up with a cowboy. He always knew that.
Yeah.
Where else would she? She's not going to date someone from Princeton, is she? So I mean,
no. He's a good character, and he plays it so well. But he's again like the Grey World. I actually found him to be quite an evil character in the beginning. Like he's a bit
more of a villain at the beginning,
but he also has, like most gangsters, and has this extremely strong loyalty and moral code in a strange way. It's like this weird. He's like the person you'd want on your team.
Yeah.
If he's on, but as long as he stays on your team. But God help you if he's not on your team.
Yeah. No. Well, it's great casting with him, and it well deserved, Cole, because I love watching his scenes. Doesn't matter what he's doing, and he makes it look effortless. And we know acting isn't effortless, but he makes it look. He just lives, breathes, and eats that character.
He embodies it fully.
Now, next we have a shot of the devil, and Wes Bentley could easily play the devil. I mean, this could be a still from the film Angel Heart, couldn't it? That could be a young Robert De Niro in Angel Heart.
This is my favorite character because he's the most troubled and complex, and there's such tragedy in this character.
Mate, you sound like you're describing my life right now.
You're not as despicable as him. He's both
thanks, Matt. Cheers.
Not as despicable, Lance. He is. I feel sorry for him. I resent him. He frustrates me. All these things, but he's played so well and with such vulnerability by this actor. I find his story the most interesting of all the characters. To me, this is the story hooks me into the series. Is what's going to happen with this guy because he's so troubled.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to find out where he fits, and he's sort of also on a journey of self-discovery.
And he's so put upon. Like it always goes wrong for him. He and Beth, the antagonism of Beth towards this guy. And he always trying to please the father, and it's never good enough, and he always fucks up because he's got his own ego, and he's great. I think he's done a great job, and it's good because we sort of lost Wes Bentley for a while there after American Beauty.
I mean, I don't think he stopped working, but
no, he didn't. But he had some very public drug abuse problems, and he kind of got lost. He lost his way a little bit, and that did affect his career. But this like Cole Hauser and Kevin Costner, what a career revival! Like even Kelly Riley. Kelly Riley's been in. I remember seeing Kelly Riley in lots of films. English actress, but all of them, their careers. I mean, these are some of the best roles of their careers, and it's all it's like a renaissance for all of them.
Yeah. I think also, hey, we've got a job for you. It's on a show. Where is it? It's Montana. You're going to get to ride lots of horses, and we're going to put you up on a big ranch. Oh, and by the way, Kevin Costner's got a big ranch up there, because I bet that all the big names have probably all got ranches up there. I'm sure Taylor Sheridan's got a ranch up there.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, what's his name from The Godfather, who was in Open Range?
Duvall.
Duvall, right, Robert Duvall. I know one of the reasons that, like, Duvall likes doing westerns, he said, because that's where he lives. I think Duvall lives in Montana or somewhere like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, there's a western script. Can it be filmed down the road from my house? If so, I'm up for it.
Yeah.
And, I mean,
totally get that.
That's his reason. By the way, those jackets were also available in the shop. That's a great still. proper.
If I'm going to go to America, I'm going to buy that jacket Jamie's wearing because that's an awesome
if you
jacket.
go to that shop if you go to that shop, there must be a cheaper place. But you go to that shop, you're going to spend so much money. Dude.
Can you go back to hear this actress? I want to just say this actress is also in Taylor Sheridan's Wind River.
Oh yeah, that's right. She's the girl.
She's the girl in the cabin, and the girl that they find, the girl who kicks off the whole plot. Yeah,
and by the way, I love that movie. I like that ending. You're circling us. No, we're not. Getting ready to kill them all.
Yeah.
And I showed that as a clip at the movie quiz, and it's a really, and again that film is basically a western.
It is a modern western, and you can see the DNA of Yellowstone absolutely in there. But I have to say, shout out to Taylor Sheridan. This is my favorite of all his works.
I love that film,
and this is the best modern western to date. Like if you're talking about our era, our generation. Yeah. This film, if you haven't seen this, folks, you have to see Hell or High Water. It is like even Nadia, who is not a big Western fan, loves watching this film. It is a cracker of a movie. And I think although Taylor Sheridan did not direct it, it was directed by a Scottish director, David Mackenzie. He wrote it, and I think it's Sheridan's best.
It's personally got the Sheridan stamp. Great bank robbery scene in that.
It's such a great movie. I just love Hell or High Water.
I mean, you can imagine, right, that this show must have inspired like loads of young men to go over to these kinds of places and seek out work as ranch hands and whatnot.
Yeah,
it must have done. And I mean, not only that, you remember City Slickers, where you could. The whole premise of that movie is, you towny boys can come out and experience what it's like to drive a cattle herd. Yeah. There's got to be like, Yellowstone ranch experiences. They must be making money hand over fist off tourists.
Absolutely.
And you and I would go we would totally go and do that, wouldn't we?
Absolutely. I mean, even just watching the series, like Nadia and I turn to each other and we go, "Oh, we have got to go camping again. We've got to go camping again." Because it romanticizes and shows how awesome it would be to live off the land. I certainly wouldn't want to own a ranch because I mean, look how much trouble these guys. Man. Too much hard work. In fact, most of the series, I'm like, guys, just sell it up. Who cares about your legacy? Sell it up. The world's changing. Stop it. Give it up. It's not affordable anymore.
So that body warmer was also available in the shop. I think it was like about $75, $80. Maybe more. It might have been 150.
Yeah, that's like 300 Australian.
Now that shot there, that's straight out of The Godfather.
It is. And that's why I think that's why The Godfather's so popular. Another story, it's about a family. That's what makes it so popular. So I think if your series is about a family, you are boom. And I dare say 1883 with it's another story about a family. Because as humans, this is why I think if something's popular, it usually is because there's something very familiar in it, which is why stories about scientists and astronauts and they're good, but I don't think they bring in the masses. But I think what brings in the masses is family, because everyone's got one. Everyone can relate to having a family, and I think we love gossip as humans. We're community people. We love hearing about what that family's doing and what's going on with them and what your brother's doing and what your uncle's up to and what your cousin, what she's up to. And I think these TV series give us that. It's like catching up with the latest gossip with the family,
Yeah, no, I mean, well, that's very much what soap operas is all about. Got to give this actress a shout out.
Oh, she's amazing. And she's not like that in real life.
No, I mean, so she kind of plays, she's a proper hardcore. I mean, when her character was first introduced, I thought she was going to be the lesbian of the group,
Yeah.
They kind of set her up to be that in a way, because she was hard as nails.
Yeah. No, really. Yeah.
There she is as a zombie. Look at that. Rabid weight loss. I've not heard of that film.
She was very she was great. And again, she seemed one-dimensional at the beginning, but then over time.
I love the way that they set her up and gave you fake expectations. And
Mm.
I like the way she pursues the black guy, doesn't she? The black
Yeah.
ranch hand, and she
Yeah.
just says, "You're going to be my guy," and he's like, "No, I'm not. You are. Wait and see." And
Yeah.
I loved that feistiness. And she was also in Banshee, which is a show I'm going to do a stream about pretty soon. I've got the box set for that right here. And mate, that's another awesome show that you will love. You and Nadia will love this.
Banshee.
It's the only time you're going to see an Amish gangster in a show.
Okay, nice.
It's really, really good. There's a few actors I think that were in both shows in Banshee, and the lead actor, of course, went on to do The Boys, playing the lead role in The Boys, the lead superhero role. So Jen, shout out to Jen Landon. We both love her. I think she's brilliant in the show. Definitely,
very good.
You know, of the supporting characters in the show, she's one of my. I don't know if she's my favorite, but she's certainly up there. One of my favorites. There you go. Look, Dr. Beast Hunter says Banshee is great, and he's absolutely right. It's fantastic. Let's just sticking with the cast. Want to give now. Forrie J. Smith. Now, do you think that this role originally was written for
Sam Elliott?
Yeah.
Yeah, quite possibly.
I think it was. I think this role was probably written for Sam Elliott. I reckon Sam Elliott probably wasn't available. And now I haven't checked this guy's IMDb, but I'm curious to know whether he either doubled for Sam Elliott at some point and maybe Elliott recommended him and said, give him an acting job. He's good. Because I could imagine Elliott doing that for someone. I could imagine Elliott not being available and putting this guy up for the job like a no-name actor effectively. Let's have a quick look and see what he's done, because I've never checked. Just stunts.
Oh, he's an old stunty, is he?
Well, 6 stunt credits, including Rambo 3. Remember, I interviewed the director on that. But he has done 22 acting credits. So I guess he's somebody. He was in Tombstone, Pony Deal.
Probably a background guy.
No, I think he did have a line.
There is a Tombstone character in Yellowstone. Did you notice him? It was remember when Wyatt Earp and Val Kilmer, and Doc Holliday, they go after the cowboys in the third act. They pull together a posse of cowboys to help them. Yeah. And one of them is Creek Johnson and Texas Jack or something.
One of them looks half Mexican, and the other one's that actor from Walking Dead. Yeah,
and I think it's Creek Johnson. Not Texas Jack. He's got the long hair, but Creek Johnson, the one that gets shot, he goes, "Watch your ear, Creek," and he's been shot in the ear. Yeah. He is in Yellowstone, and he's he's in season 5. He has that very emotional thing happens to him in season 5. Have you seen season 5?
I don't remember him in season 5. I've just finished watching season 5.
Do you remember the character who dies falling asleep under the stars?
Yeah, but that's not that actor.
It is. It is. That's Creek Johnson.
Is it?
That's him. Much older, but that's him.
I've got to, because we might be picturing different actors in our minds. Anyway, whether he was a replacement for Sam or not, I think just to say, Forrie J. Smith does a great job.
Absolutely.
Born to play the part. And
I think Gil Birmingham also was really good. He plays Thomas Rainwater, the guy who heads the Native American sort of side of things. And
I love him.
And he appears in both Wind River and Hell or High Water, which, again, both Taylor Sheridan films. He's in both of these. So if you like that actor, definitely check those films out.
I love Danny Houston as well. He was in a lot of the earlier episodes of the show. Seen him on stage in the UK, part of the Houston family dynasty, but a phenomenal actor with amazing presence who was in Broadwalk Empire. Now I'm gonna have to find this. I've got to pin this actor down.
Look around for that. Ryan Bingham. He plays the cowboy that often plays the guitar. Right. You know that guy? He's one of the ranch hands that wants to get off of Yellowstone, but he never can.
Yeah.
Well, he was also in another great Western. I'll just get it for you.
While you're looking that up, I want to give a shout out to, again, this guy's got to be in my top 10 sort of character actors, Wil Patton. First thing I ever saw him in was a Kevin Costner movie. That amazing Kevin Costner movie, the remake of The Big Clock. It's called No Way Out with Gene Hackman. It's a spy thriller. It's an incredible film. I need to do a retro review of that.
Yeah, Wil Patton's been in a lot of films. He's a great actor, really good.
Look, there he is in No Way Out with a very young Costner and a very young Wil Patton when Wil Patton still had hair. Wil Patton's just brilliant. I mean, he's another person who makes acting look easy.
Yeah, and he's been in so many things. He was popping up in the 90s all over the place.
He's incredible.
But he's always plays very shady characters so well.
Yeah,
like, just not quite trustworthy.
He always plays characters where you don't quite know where you stand with them. He's got the best line in Armageddon. What are you doing bringing a gun in space?
Hey, man, what you doing bringing a gun in space?
Yeah.
What are you doing with a gun in space? This is the film that Gil Birmingham is in, Hostiles.
Dude, I saw that at the cinema. That's the one with, isn't that Christian Bale?
Yes. Excellent movie.
Excellent
film. And it has Gil Birmingham in it as also a guitar playing cowboy.
It was quite slow, but I'm glad I saw it at the cinema because it was very cinematic.
Oh, yeah. It is slow, but it's beautiful.
Yeah, no, I really liked it. I thought it was good. Jackie Weaver's great as, that villain. I met her once, actually, at the theatre. Fantastic woman. Love her and everything. She was the mother in the original Animal Kingdom. She gets around. She pops up in different countries, and every time you think she's a native to that place. There's Neil, who we mentioned earlier. Can you remember the name of the character that dies under the tree?
No, I can't remember the name of the character. I'm going to try to find the actor on Tombstone.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, I can show you the actor that's in my head on Tombstone. I know his name. He was also in Mississippi Burning with Gene Hackman, which is another fantastic movie. There's a couple of other actors in this I wanted to give a shout out to, though, and I'm struggling to find them now. Yeah, Gil Birmingham is great, solid, dependable character actor. Done quite a lot of similar parts, but done some great different parts. And yeah, as you said, he was in Wind River, also in Animal Kingdom, 10 episodes. Really liked him in that. Yeah, he's very good. Ryan Bingham. Yeah, this guy's pretty good. I quite like this character. He's another one that's a singer, I think. Isn't that the one you were saying he's always trying to get off the ranch?
Yeah, he is a singer. That's the one.
Yeah, I liked him. His character's cool. I've got a question for you about the show in a second, which is something I've forgotten and I want to remember. Did you find that actor?
Yeah, I'm looking for him at the moment.
All right, so you look for him, and I'm going to ask you this question, and this will be proof that men can multitask for those people that are watching. So I think it's in the first season. They catch a couple of people trying to steal one of their horse trailers or something like that. So one of the people that works under Cole Hauser to teach them a lesson locks them in the back of the trailer and drives it around, throwing them from side to side all over the place. Yes. And when he brings them back, they're both dead from catastrophic head injuries and shit.
Yes.
And he was just trying to shake them up and scare them. That character kind of had to sort of disappear for a bit, but I can't remember him actually leaving the show. What happened to him?
No, he turns up again. I saw him in season 5. He's just in the background being a cop. Nothing happens to that character.
No, but that's right. Yeah, he's the cop that's on the take, isn't he? He's not one of the ranch hands. He's one of the cops that's
he's one of the local cops, and I think they cover it up. And he was also in Wind River, that actor, and he was the guy right at the end that he deals with up on the mountainside.
He was a good actor. That
and I was correct. The actor from Tombstone is Buck Taylor. His name is Buck Taylor. He plays Emmett Walsh in Yellowstone.
That is not the actor that I had in my head. So we're thinking of two different people. Yeah. So
that is Buck Taylor, and of course,
how many episodes is Buck Taylor in?
He appears in 8 episodes throughout. and he played Turkey Creek Jack Johnson in Tombstone.
Hang
He
on.
also has a very small
Here we
role
go.
in
Here we
Hello,
go.
High
Here we go.
Water.
Here we go.
He's over there holding the stick of dynamite. Very young man.
Right. Yeah, that's not the that's not the actor I thought you were talking about. And there's that film again, Little Britches.
I know.
Which we said we need to track that movie down.
I saw
No,
some
the
of it
actor-
on YouTube the other day. Looked pretty good, actually.
The actor that I thought you were talking about, who is one of the ones that hangs out with those guys, there's Thomas Hayden Church again, was Michael Rooker.
Oh yeah, Michael Rooker. Yeah,
I thought you were talking about Michael Rooker.
He plays McMasters.
That's right. Yeah. Masters. Any other actors you want to mention on the show before we move on to our last couple of topics?
No, I've shouted out the actors that I think are great. There's a couple of Aussies in this TV show, which in Yellowstone that appear.
Do you want to mention any of them?
Well, of course, you have Jackie Weaver, who plays the and there's also a actor called Finn Little, I believe, and he's a child actor that's now grown up, and he was Finn Little. Started with the remake of Storm Boy a few years ago in 2019.
How many episodes is he in
Yellowstone? He plays the child that that Beth and Rip take on, that orphan kid.
Right. Yeah. Right. Okay. All right.
Yeah. But he started his first
film.
He's Australian. He's still in the show. He's an Australian actor, and he started off in Storm Boy, which was filmed in South Australia, my home state in Australia, in 2018, the remake of Storm Boy.
Right. Now I'll tell you, there's a couple of interesting, like Gretchen Mol. I remember her, man. She did a lot of stuff in the 90s. She was in Broadwalk Empire. She did a guest role, couple of episodes. That's interesting because I don't think I caught that it was her whenever she popped up in the show. There was somebody else here I was going to mention. I definitely remember Karen Pittman. Yeah, definitely remember her. And she was only in 4 episodes. She's done absolutely loads of theatre and has been in, Tony Award winning shows and stuff like that. She played a I think it was like an FBI agent or something in another show. She's a absolutely first rate actress. Another one of mine that's a real fave.
Yeah, she's good.
I think okay. Well, that's probably it then.
Yeah,
I spotted somebody, and I was like, "Oh, they're in it." And I've now scrolled past them. Now I can't. There's so many names here. Oh, that's what I wanted to say. There's a Peckinpah in the cast. Luke Peckinpah. Now, do you think that's a relation of the great man himself?
Well, you'd think so, wouldn't you?
Let's have a look.
May not be, but
Creek, California. He's best known for his deep, rugged voice and intimidating. It doesn't say. Oh, nephew of director Sam Peckinpah. There you go.
Okay, there you go. So there is a relation.
That's a bit of cowboy history right there, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
He's only done a couple of little bits, but 12 acting credits.
I tell you what, Sam Peckinpah, his big western, of course, was The Wild Bunch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I got another western of Peckinpah's recently, which I've never seen before, but looking forward to watching.
Oh, is that the Billy the Kid one?
No. I don't know of a Billy the Kid one of his.
No, it's not called Billy the Kid. It's about the guy that arrested Billy the Kid, and it's.
Okay. No, this is the one that the Peckinpah film called Major Dundee with Charlton Heston.
Oh, dude, I've got that. That's got Richard Harris in it as well.
Yeah, I've never seen this.
I've got it, and I've got there was a new cut of it released.
Yes, this is the
that's the version I've got, but I don't have it on Blu-ray. I've got it on
this is the
DVD.
imprint. This is the imprint release here in Australia, which comes with the extended version and heaps of loaded special features.
Wow.
So I'm really looking forward to seeing that.
Oh, mate, we could do a whole other stream about that. All right, we've got 2 more things to cover before we're going to wrap up. I feel like we've been on ages.
We have, man. We've been on for nearly 2 hours.
You and me talking about films, the time flies, doesn't it? This is just like us being down the pub. So, most favourite moment of the show so far, or most memorable moment? Well, I know what mine is.
You first.
Okay, got to be the fight between Beth and John Dutton's squeeze.
Yeah,
that's in season 5.
Piper Parabo is the actor.
Yeah, we should give her she's pretty good.
Her character.
I think it's good that her character's found more nuance, because at the beginning she was a bit just one thing, and I could see they were taking her the direction of she's going to get to love the land and it's going to change her ways, and they haven't quite done that.
No.
She's mellowed a bit, but she's also still really cantankerous, and I'm glad that they didn't go that far with her. But that fight between the two of them has got to be one of the best girl-on-girl fights.
Yeah, it was a good fight, and I love that.
Total Recall, with Rachel Tykotin and Sharon Stone.
That line of Rip when he comes out, he goes, "You know how ridiculous you two look," and he gets them to stand up, and instead of stop fighting, he says, "Stand up and start just taking punches. Don't roll on the ground wrestling. Do it this way." So,
until only one of you's left standing.
That's right.
Yeah, and that was it was really well done. I like that scene, and I like the way they made Cole Hauser's character handle that scene.
Yeah.
It was kind of really cool, because you were expecting him to say something different.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like that about this show, that it can still surprise you.
Yeah.
My favorite
scene is gonna probably, everyone's forgotten about it, but for me, the scene, when I think of Yellowstone, the scene that really was quite profound for me was the scene where Rip tries to save 2 hikers from a cliff face.
God, yeah, I forgot about that.
And he can't do it, and he isn't able to, and the bear comes along, and he has to fight. He has to deal with this bear, and the reason those hikers went down the cliff was because of the bear. And then the moment of, just that moment on the cliff. Spoilers, turn off for the next 20 seconds if you don't want to spoil. But seeing someone fall and die, and then the other person realizing that their friend or partner has died, letting themselves go and also plunging to their death, and you actually get to see it from that perspective. I don't know. I found that really profound, and that's never left me. And I feel like that's, for me, the moment that really hit me. So that's my favorite scene.
There's a message for you there, Matt, which is you and Nadia, don't go camping in bear country.
That's it. I'm not going camping in bear country. I tell you what, I do love Yellowstone 4 I love it every time I see a Winchester rifle. I just love Winchester rifles. Every time I see the Winchester,
under loading breech.
Yeah, I love it. If I ever go out to the bush to live and live off the land, and I'm gonna get myself a Winchester rifle, because they are the best rifles.
Well, I had funny cowboy story. One Christmas I got bought. I remember it was great because my grandparents. We'd go around to my grandparents in the evening, and I'd wake up, there'd be presents, and then we'd have a lunch, and then after lunch there'd be the main presents. This is back in the day when my dad was working and earning good money, so there were presents asunder. And then we'd go around to my grandparents in the evening to say hello to them, and there'd be like a third batch of presents. It was quids in.
Those are the days.
The year that I remember getting the most presents was also the year that my grandparents, it was all cowboys, because I think one of the times they were babysitting me, I stayed up with my grandfather, and I think we watched The Alamo. It was either that or another John Wayne. Might have been Rio Bravo, but my grandfather was a bit of a Western fan, and
As was
I opened one present, right, and it's a cowboy suit with all those exaggerated tassels coming off the trousers, and it had like a gun holster. And do you remember the red rolls of caps?
Yeah,
it had like a pistol with a fake ivory handle.
Yeah, I've owned many of those in my childhood.
And a hat, and a black hat, and it had like a brown fake leather. I don't know what that fake leather stuff is called, but you used to get it on baseball jackets.
Vinyl.
Yeah, kind of like it was like that. I mean, it fell apart pretty quick, but there was a sheriff's badge,
Oh yeah, I had that.
And then I opened the next packet, and there was like 2 boxes of 1 30-second scale cowboys and an Indian set. So great.
Those little guys. I used to have
those. I'm gonna, and I don't know what company made them because I've never been able to trace them. My dog had most of them in the garden and bit them to rubbish, but I had those. And then in the last box, there was a big long toy Winchester rifle, and what it did was when you were firing through the thing, it had the top thing, and the red caps would come out like that.
I had one of those. I had exactly the same Winchester.
Yeah, and it had a second roll in it, and when you did that and you cocked that, it would cock the other roll.
Yes.
Man,
I had that same, and
cool.
pop. Oh, I loved it. That was one of my prized toys. Was my toy Winchester with the lever action.
Yeah.
Can you share my screen? I can't. Can I share my screen?
I think. Let me take this thing down. Maybe you can. Let me do that. I think you can probably do that.
Settings.
Did you track one down on eBay and buy it?
No. It doesn't seem like I can.
I mean, I couldn't even tell you the company that made it, but I remember the box, and it had like artwork of cactuses and all this.
I've just got a picture of myself as a like a 5-year-old in my cowboy suit, and
I know that there were pictures of me in mine, but I haven't got them, sadly.
Here we go. Share screen. Here we go. I'm going to share. I'm going to share screen and show the world.
Mate, this could be the photo that makes this go viral. Maybe Taylor Sheridan will send me a message saying, "Tell Matt I liked him in his cowboy outfit." Actually, that sounds wrong. Don't send us that message. Just tell us you liked the stream. Can you do it? Is it working?
It's.
Dude, send me the picture. Can you send me the picture on Facebook and I'll do it?
How's that? Did it work?
Oh yeah, it's up to me to put it up, but yeah, I got it. Hey,
there we are.
So my hat was not the same as that, but the waistcoat was a bit similar. But my waistcoat didn't have those white.
No, that was this was one of my first cowboy suits. That was my mother made that for me.
Oh.
So and she made me those chaps as well. And there's my cap gun. So there we go. I had the tassels and everything. And I even had me and my brother also had Indian costumes as well. So
I had an Indian costume, and I had this really like quite lethal, big bow, with huge arrows with suckers on the end. And one of the times, I misfired it, and part of it caught me in the eye. This is before I wore glasses, and my eye went massively red, and it wouldn't stop weeping like all day. And that was the end of my Indian bow. My mum kind of confiscated it, and I never saw it again.
Yeah. No, we used to have dangerous toys in the 80s.
Oh, I mean, we used to build crossbows for.
I built.
Get a bit of curtain rail, hammer it into a piece of wood, get a strong piece of string, drill some holes into the wood, create like the shoulder rest thing, and then you'd have 3 different pegs that would go in. So you'd pull back the string, and
me and my friend used to spend our weekends making crossbows and setting them up setting crossbow traps with tripwires in the backyard. We used to sharpen.
Dude, I didn't go quite that far, man. That's pretty hardcore.
Oh, we loved it. We were all into making weapons when we were.
I didn't get quite as far as setting up the booby traps, but
well, we were. I was a little bit inspired by Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Oh yeah. That's a good movie, the first one.
Mm.
And then they kind of ruined it with the second one. David Macy, bow and arrow every year from my sister lasted about an hour. Yeah, I remember the Indian costume I had a big, long, flowing headdress with like feathers that came all down.
Yeah.
And I wandered
Always
around with
wanted
it
one of
every
them. I
so
could never
often.
afford it.
Oh well, I mean, this was cheap, but every so often I'd find a feather somewhere in the house, and you know. So okay, so Yellowstone. So do we know is the next season the last, and what are we hoping to see in season?
I don't know. I don't know if it is, but I know what I want to see happen in season 6. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing if they do it. I've got my predictions, but I don't know if I should say them and spoil things for everybody.
Well, yeah, but they're predictions, so we don't know. No, share them.
All right, I think it's going to come down to Jamie. I think
it's going to be a big thing between Beth and Jamie.
I think Jamie is going to kill somebody, and it's going to either be Jamie's going to end up killing Beth, or he's going to kill the father.
Beth. Well, Jamie's putting out a hit on Beth, and
I think
that's going to go wrong, and someone else is going to get killed. I think, but it'll be an important character. It might even be Cole Hauser's character that gets killed.
Yep, that could be very true.
I mean,
that would fuck Beth up.
I'd hate to see him go, but my God, that would be a real sledgehammer, wouldn't it? Because everybody then would really hate. You'd all really hate Jamie then.
I know, but in a strange way, I'm with Jamie. I don't like Dutton. I don't like Beth. I like Rip, and I like the younger son, but I don't like Kevin Costner. I love Kevin Costner, and I think his performance is great, but I don't like Beth and Kevin. I think they're evil people.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's part of the joy of the show, isn't it? Is that it's a bit like The Shield, where Vic Mackey is a bad man.
Yeah,
still sometimes you find yourself rooting for him, nonetheless.
That's right. But I'm Team Jamie, and I'm looking forward to Jamie finally getting some revenge for the way that the Duttons have treated him. But it will probably end bad for him as well. And I predict that the ranch will go to the son, the youngest son, and to his wife.
Well, I'll tell you another thing. Look, with that hit, someone's going to get killed. It's not going to be Beth. My money is on either Cole Hauser's going to get killed or Rip. Yeah, the young Luke Grimes. And either of those would be a dramatic catastrophe. And if it is the final season, that would be all the surge it needs for kind of all-out war between those two parties, and I'm sure that's what's going to happen. Yeah, I feel like
it's got to come to a head. I really wish it would just hurry up and get to that. I don't like dragging it out this long. So please, we love your show, Taylor. Let's wrap it up. Let's wrap it up with a bang. And
so you think season 6 should be the last?
I think it absolutely should be the last. And I also think because of Kevin Costner's commitment to Horizon, the feature films, I think Kevin Costner certainly wants to wrap things up. So I think it's run its course. It's been a great ride. Let's go out with a bang. And then let's get on to some more good Taylor Sheridan content.
Well, I mean, he's already got so much stuff coming out. I mean, Mayor of Kingston, I really love the new show with... oh my God, what's wrong with my brain today? Rambo, Sylvester Stallone, The King of Tulsa.
Right.
That's a great show. Really like it. It's a lot of fun. Big characters, bit of a cartoonish show, but I don't mind that. It feels grounded in the world it's set. Again, that's all about not breaking the laws of the universe you establish in the writing. I think Taylor Sheridan is very, very good at doing that.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing, though. There is a blot on Taylor Sheridan's wonderful filmography, and that is those...
Pretty sure I told you not to mention that, Matt.
But forgiven, he wasn't the key writer. So,
okay.
But lots
Did he direct that? Did he direct that?
He directed it, but wasn't the key writer.
Right, okay.
And, but that's the... but a lot of people from there carry over into Yellowstone. A lot of actors he worked, and you can tell he uses a lot of the same people.
I didn't know this. You know, the production uses all 3 main studios at Utah Film Studios, because it mainly
of
films
course.
it does film in Montana, which is Chief Joseph Ranch stands in for. Do you know what? Let's have a quick look at these places before we go. I'm quite interested.
Yeah, I
You're
looked
right.
at.
You're
I
okay
looked,
for time, mate? Sorry, I don't want to. I know you've got
yeah,
editing of things to do. You're right for 20 minutes?
yeah, sure. I saw the. It is actually a working ranch, the Dutton Ranch. You can go there when they're not filming. They have people you can stay over there. You can learn about being a cowboy. You know, all
Oh,
that stuff.
mate, we've so got to do that.
So yeah, well,
Um,
I'm sure it's probably going to cost more than we can afford.
well, yeah. Yeah. Well, if anyone's listening and they want to treat me and Matt to a special present, I tell you now, that's it. There it is.
That would be
Look,
nice to visit the ranch.
look at, well, Matt, you can take your helicopter. Look, they've been so very considerate of you. They put a helicopter pad there for you then. It's a lot closer to a main road than I would have thought.
Yeah, right. Well, it's probably hidden behind hidden.
Yeah.
Oh, there's that river. I recognize that river that we often see beautiful shots of.
Yeah. Let's go on Street View a second. Yeah, look, see that? I knew that was going to be an embankment. So even though, yeah, you've got a main road, it is nicely hidden from
hidden.
Yeah, nicely hidden. So makes it a great location in that respect. Can we get
it is a stunning ranch. It really is.
And then, yeah, Chief Joseph Ranch Horse Stable, and that's also where they.
Yeah, I wonder where all the crew stay. I mean, hey, is that a film crew?
That's why I zoomed in. I was wondering because it does look like, you know, Winnebago. There's a couple of Winnebagos there. So this,
yeah.
I mean, this
and what is that great big thing on the ground? It looks like the film crew's there, or setting up.
Yeah. Yeah,
Who
quite
knows?
possibly. I mean, this will be a couple of years old, so.
And they'd be filming there quite regularly.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, so I mean, I wanted to see. Let's see how far away Utah Film Studios is from that. Pretty close by, I think, actually.
Well, Utah's in the next state over, isn't it?
Well, I meant in American terms. Oh, you're so many hours away. So, right. So that's where the ranch is, which is quite remote. The nearest town is Darby. So I guess the town of Darby people would probably stay there for filming.
Yeah.
And I mean, also, I'm guessing a lot of private ranches probably put up the A-list cast. I mean, Costner probably arrives on that helipad. Yeah, I mean, look at I didn't realize that it's all in a valley. If you look at that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And apparently, did you know that only 3% of the Yellowstone Park actually is in Montana? The rest of it is all in Wyoming.
I did know that, actually. That was one of my kind of queries, was why is the show called Yellowstone? And because the Yellowstone National Park is not what we're talking about. We're talking about the Yellowstone Ranch.
That's right. But of course, everyone knows Yellowstone.
Yeah.
National Park.
When I first heard about the show being made, I have to confess, I thought it was going to be about Yellowstone Park Rangers, and
that's what I thought.
Yeah,
I thought exactly the same thing.
Yeah, it was going to be some sort of like sheriff, and it was going to be to do with poachers and people getting lost on the trails. And
that's what I thought it was. Even looking at the post, I was like, oh, it's all about running the park.
Yeah, because look, okay, so this is the valley here, just south of Missoula. Here's the Yellowstone National Park. Here's Wind River Reservation. There's Wyoming.
Oh, yep.
So Utah so that's Montana.
Yeah.
And Utah is here. So it's an adjacent state.
Yeah.
Look, and there's Butte where they filmed
Oh, yep.
Wow, they must have had a lot of tax breaks with these.
And of course, Salt Lake City, that's, Utah, that's, a lot of movies get made there. So it is the place to go shoot these northern. Well, actually, should these be called westerns? They should be called northerns.
Well, this is Utah Film Studios. Again, strangely close to a freeway, which usually film studios will go out of their way to avoid.
Here in Melbourne, the big Melbourne studios that we even shot Ben Hall in are literally underneath one of our biggest freeways.
Right.
But when you're in those studios, they're so soundproof, you'd never know. You'd never know.
I don't know if I'm looking at the wrong side here, but let me just trying to see the actual. So I can see the buildings on the. So it's this cluster of buildings here, right? That's Utah Film Studios.
Yep.
So there's a ski or snowboard thing over there. So let me just go down again. So is it that? Is that Utah Film Studios there? I guess it is.
I guess so.
And it just doesn't look like a film studio. It looks more like a shopping mall. It's bizarre. I mean, maybe
it is a bit. Maybe it's got a bit of an exterior. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's weird.
Yeah, that is an unusual looking. I mean, unless I'm looking at the wrong building, but I guess it could be that building. Difficult to tell from the. Yeah, I think it is because there's the entrance there. I don't know. Anyway, that's where they did a load of interiors. It's funny because I mean the interiors for the film. There's not lots of. It's all the office stuff with Jamie, isn't it? Jamie in an office. I guess there's the interior of the ranch, which probably isn't shot at the ranch if people actually live there. So maybe the interior of the ranch is built.
I'm pretty sure they do not shoot inside that ranch. They probably take some license with it. There's probably a permanent set there in Utah, because that is a working ranch. So the people aren't going to want their film crew filming inside all the time. So that's pretty common practice because you can control the lighting.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's it. Pretty sure that's the building.
Yep, that's the one.
It's so weird. I mean, when I don't know, I thought it would look different, but because I mean, it doesn't really have a backlot, and you wouldn't want to be building sets next to that freeway. But then I guess maybe they don't get that much traffic there.
Yeah.
Didn't look particularly busy.
But they probably don't need very large sets. They just need small office interiors, insides of houses, things like that.
This is the stuff that you and I like to nerd out on because we're both filmmakers, and I'm always interested in seeing the transition from where we filmed in reality to what's on the screen, how they achieved certain things, and
I know the actor who plays Casey ended up moving and living in Montana.
Which actor's that?
He plays the son, Casey, the young boy, Luke Grimes.
Luke Grimes. Oh,
yeah. Well, I mean, he ended up moving to Montana and lives there now with his wife.
I mean, how easy would that be to be bitten by that bug, especially if you knew you were going to be contracted for 4 seasons? And I don't know how much he's on an episode, but and property out there has got to be pretty cheap compared to. You can probably get a 5-bedroom house for the equivalent of a 1-bed studio in Manhattan.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
And he gets him out of LA as well.
Brilliant. Well, that's us. We've talked about Yellowstone for nearly 2.5 hours. Well, we talked about 3 shows, but mostly Yellowstone. So Matt, you're working on one of the things you're working on. You've got a few fingers in a few pies. You've already directed 2 westerns effectively, but you've got you're working on a TV show called The Bushrangers. Is that right?
That is correct.
Do you want to share that?
Yeah, well, we're actually. Yeah, I'll just get it. I'm just getting it up now.
Don't go yet, David. We've got something interesting to show you. This is a first.
And you won't see this anywhere else. And
this is the only place on the Outcasts Creative Channel. This is the only place you'll see this. So, to the 4 people watching, hang around for a second because I think you'll find this interesting.
Yeah, I've written I've outlined and written the first episode for 52 episodes for a 4-season series called The Bushrangers, which is an Australian Western. And this covers from 30 years and every major and minor bushranger that was in Australia in that time. So it's a massive historical, sprawling epic series. And we pitched it a few years ago to some streaming services, and there was some initial interest from Netflix, and they were asking us about budget and all that because they really liked our pitch. But Westerns were not flavor of the month. But now that you got, the Kids series and The Sun, and now Yellowstone and all of its spin-offs, the Western is now coming back. And so we thought, me and my producer thought, this is the time to pitch it again. And I can give you a quick, brief flick through. Look,
mate, I've got it here. Is it all right to put it up? I've got it already because
you've got it ready. You share it, yeah.
So you sent me the link to have a quick look at it. Now it's very small on your screens, and probably rightly so, because this is obviously industry eyes only, guys. But because you're talking to two people that work in the industry, you get to see these things. So this is the first time I've ever seen an animated pitch deck. And Matt already said to me, Lance, don't go be getting any ideas. I'm not making you one, and I didn't make it.
I didn't make this one. I could.
And he knew I was going to say that. I was going, oh my God, I need one like this for Diamonds in the Sky. This would be great. Although, of course, I haven't shot any footage for it yet. So, what's nice is Matt's already made a Bushranger movie.
Yep.
So instead of you having
The Legend of Ben Hall.
Yeah, The Legend of Ben Hall, which
is where these images come from. Because
somewhere up there.
The Legend of Ben Hall is almost a bit of a proof of concept, a much lower budget, but proof of concept.
But what's great is that because Matt's already made this film and it's set in the same milieu, it's the same genre, and it's like you said, it's almost like a pilot for the show, really. In a
lot of ways it is. Yeah.
I mean, it's what it could be, but please give us more money. Give us proper money. And what you achieved on Ben Hall for your budget was nothing short of amazing. And so this, again, I just can't get over how great this looks. I mean, imagine this landing on the desk of the right person at Netflix, and it's so different for what you would see normally. And you can click on the trade, and as you can see, what you're often asked to do in pitch decks, people that are watching, is put up comparable shows that are, so we know where your show should be marketed and who it is. And as you can see, all three of the shows we've been talking about, and that's a big compliment to Mr. Sheridan and all the teams involved and the actors and production crew. They're all there saying, this is what my show is like. Matt's talking about it. There he is. Mate, you look a bit younger in that photo.
That's from Ben Hall.
Yeah.
I don't have a current photo, unfortunately. So
look at that bit of horse wrangling action.
Yep. So it's a huge series. It covers those of you who know Bushrangers. It covers all of the big ones: Ben Hall, Frank Gardner, Mad Dan Morgan, Thunderbolt, Captain Moonlight, Ned Kelly, John Gilbert. Just goes on and on and on. It's a massive sprawling saga. Covers 30 years, and it will hopefully be one of the biggest series in Australia, but we really want to hit the international audience. We really want to.
Yeah. But with 52 episodes, even I might get to write or direct a couple. So
you never know. With that, there's a lot of episodes to get through, so I'm going to need a lot of good help, Lance.
Yeah.
David Macy is asking, "That is awesome. What did you do on it?"
Well, no. What did you do it on? In other words, how was it created? It was done by Matt's producer, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I did the pitch book originally. He took it and then put all the animated stuff into it. His team did that and did a great job. I believe it was done using a program called FlipSnack.
Yeah.
So if anyone's interested, FlipSnack is it's an online sort of program. You can build these pitch books in, these flip books, and and of course you can put in animated pictures and all sorts of things. So it's called FlipSnack. Check it out.
Yeah. Well, there you go, mate. So FlipSnack.
So hopefully the Western is back, and using the popularity of Yellowstone, we may have a shot to get one of the streaming services to fund a massive Australian Western series, which will open up our amazing Australian history of our own Wild West to the rest of the world.
Mm.
Because it's bigger than anything we've seen so far on
Mate,
YouTube.
I'd love that to happen for you. And, you know, Matt can be found on social media in a couple of places. Don't friend request him on Facebook, but you can contact him through the Outcast Creative page. So if you got any questions for him,
or you can reach me on my Legend of Ben Hall Facebook page as well.
Legend of Ben Hall Facebook page. There you go. Either of those. Legend of Ben Hall is now available on, is it Amazon or you can rent it on YouTube, right?
You can rent it on YouTube. You can see it on Amazon in Australia. I think you can still see it on Amazon in the US as well. Not sure where in the UK you can see it, but I know it is available. Do a Google search. You will find it in your territory. It has been released in almost every country. So
brilliant. David Macy already pitching to play a bad guy. I'm available. Check out my IMDb. So listen, if you've stuck with us for the whole show, which was longer than I thought it was going to be, we're only going to do 90 minutes. Thank you so much for that. Help us grow the channel, share the content. It's been great talking about one of my favorite shows, plural. Well, three of my favorite shows, but in one universe. It kind of feels like one show in a way.
Yeah, it does. It's great.
With one of my favorite buddies, Matt and I have very similar taste in films and actors, and often creative choices as well. So we can gas about this kind of stuff all day long.
We can.
Anyway, next Wednesday, I've got my weekly roundup, and my good friend George, who's a film critic from the States, who did Top 10 Westerns with me when he couldn't get StreamYard to work properly. He's got all that fixed now. We did a test yesterday. He's coming on to do the weekly roundup with me. We're going to be talking about John Wick 4, which I'm going to go and see on Tuesday, probably. And then I'll be talking about all the latest shows, other shows I've seen. Star Trek Picard, latest episode of that was awesome. So quite a bit to talk about because there are some good shows. Mary Kingston, also been watching that. So I'll be catching up with all of that stuff with you on Wednesday. And then next Saturday, which is the 1st of April, April Fool's Day, but it's not an April Fool, I will be talking about the film Beach Street, which was produced by Harry Belafonte and directed by Stan Latham. And who is Stan Latham? He is the father of actress Sanaa Latham. Now, this was a great R&B, not R&B, sorry, hip hop. It was the hip hop movie, the movie about hip hop culture to see in the UK when I was growing up. There was about six or seven movies out. There was like Breakdance 2, Body Rock, Wild Style, Rapping, a couple of others, but everybody loved this film. This was the best one, and I watched it again the other day and I loved it. And I want to talk about it at length. I'm trying to get one of the cast to come on next Saturday. It's a bit of a mission, but I've written to a few of them. They are out there, and I'd love one of them to come on. So I'm gonna write to a few more, because what I want to ask them is when this movie was made, there was such a high when they had the premiere that all the cast, there's a lot of young people in it, were all expecting the world to sort of open up at their feet, and they came down to a really big thud that being in one movie doesn't make your career. And one of them wrote a play called What Happens Now, and that was produced at an off-Broadway theatre. And I want to know what that script was. I know what it was about. It was about dealing with the come down of that initial high of fame and then what happens now. But I want to know how that play ended. I want to know who wrote it. I want to know, did it do well? I just know the story about it. And that's really interesting.
Well, who knows? You might find that answer by doing the stream.
It's possible. It's possible. We'll see. I've written to Sanaa Latham and Stan Latham. None of them have got back to me yet. And Harry Belafonte is still alive as well, I think. But I haven't actually written to him. He's very old. But anyway, listen, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Matt, it's been brilliant having you on.
Thanks, man.
Look forward to having you on another stream again soon. And those of you watching, don't forget to tell people that you care about them. And if there's somebody you need to do that, pick up the phone tomorrow and give them a call. Don't send them a text. Give them a proper phone call. And we'll see you all again soon.
Ciao for now.
And